Hello, guys, and welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting. Marigold, I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I am joined as ever by Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, it has been a week in the world of Marigold because a certain someone made her debut.
Yeah, who nobody saw coming. Wow, we were
Not
so
not one person knew it was coming.
not one person. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, you mix in Golden Week. You mix. We got to talk about Jungle Kyona, because we have not talked about, at least on air, about her return to wrestling. We're talking about the card shaping up for the big pay-per-view coming up at the end of this month, and of course, the big news. Double news, not only Mayu's debut, but clearly the number one coolest looking jersey in all of Marigold. That new Mayu Iwatani baseball
Yes.
jersey. I was like, wow, it shines, it's bright, it's awesome. It's got the most numbers because it's got three. Because Mayu's like, I don't want one number, I don't want two, I want three. That must have been part of her contract. And it's got
Mm-hmm.
her the pet prints on there as well, very much like her gear. But a lot to talk about, my friend. But before we get into that, Rob, no spoiler-free review. Thunderbolts. We're restoring the feeling back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Ooh,
Yes.
okay.
Now, of course, I have loved everything that Marvel's done. I love the Eternals. I love Shang-Chi. I love Thor and Love and Thunder. I'm an easy man to please. But the reviews for this thing, a lot of people, much harsher critics than me, were saying this is the best Marvel movie pre-COVID. And that's right up there. It really was. I mean, this was good. It was a fun movie. Post-credit scene that obviously I won't spoil, that is going to set up the MCU for the next few years. And I highly recommend everybody go and see it because it is a fantastic movie. A little over 2 hours, but it flies by. It really does. It flies by. It's just a fantastic movie, my friend. So again, highest recommendations.
It's certainly one that I will be looking to go and see. It's one that's generated the buzz that I think a couple of them haven't quite. To use an example, Doctor Strange 2, for example, where, there is a buzz around Marvel films, but I feel like that was one where it was a case of, do we need a second one? Really? And there was a couple of things in that you were like, oh, okay, we're getting a bit, it's just very difficult to follow now. Especially if you are one of those people that watches, everything from the Disney Plus series to, the animated what ifs and stuff like that. It's, you should still be able to follow films. It was along the same lines as AEW when they were sort of referencing the Being the Elite YouTube channel. It's like, well, I shouldn't have to watch Being the Elite to understand what's going on AEW Dynamite. That was sort of the thing that was getting at. But yeah, a lot of positive praise for Thunderbolts, and certainly something that I'll be going out of my way to see.
Yeah, again, it's a fun time. It's a fun time, and it's not only you have great action, you have great drama, you have great acting, and you have a lot of comedy too. If you have seen the Black Widow movie, there is a lot of David Harbour as the Red Guardian trying to get back some past glory. That's really funny. And it ties into the mid-credit scene because again, they have two of them. One, the mid-credit is funny, really funny, and the post-credit scene, I was like, I think I know what's coming. And I did my final boss thing again where I had goosebumps. I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. But yeah, again, highest recommendations to a fantastic movie. And Daredevil, Born Again, just wrapped up a few weeks ago. Actually wrapped up while we were in Vegas. So that was just a great series. So again, Marvel is on absolute fire right now. And again, next month we got Superman, we got Fantastic Four. So I'm thoroughly excited. So to add into the fantastic wrestling that we watch pretty much each and every day, buddy.
I mean, my first question to you, Matt, is where the hell did you find time whilst we were in Vegas to watch Daredevil?
Oh, I didn't.
I
We did that a day or two after we came back because I
oh,
asked
okay.
Amber. I said, "Do you want to watch?" She goes, "Where do you want to fit it in?" I said, "You just tell me the time." I said, "We will figure it out." No, we were. I think it was the before we left. It was the penultimate, and then I think it was that
Okay.
Tuesday. I think it was the day that we left was the final episode. I said, "What?" I said, "If you want to, we can try to put it up on YouTube. She's like, no, we'll watch it when we get home. So we watched it the next day because I think we got home around 1:30 in the morning, and I was still contemplating going to work. And then I was like, that's not the best idea. So I text my boss. I said, I'm putting my time in up for Wednesday. He's like, I have a feeling you were going to. You're probably having a good time as I'm watching my hungover wife, which I've never said before because she's never been hungover since she got my last name. So that was kudos to Rob saying we're buying the drinks this time, and it was these giant buckets of certain drinks. And then Kirsty's like, I want an American craft beer. I'm like, well, we can't go into said bar with these drinks. And then Amber pounded said drink. Like,
she really did.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever seen that before. But hey, it was nice that she let her hair down and she enjoyed herself. But that's what's going on with me. But I don't know if I talked to you too much this weekend. How was your weekend?
Yeah, not too bad. We didn't do a great deal. There was a couple of things around the house and stuff like that. It's a bank holiday, which means that Monday I don't really know what a bank holiday is. I believe it was something in older times where the banks shut and therefore the country grinds to a halt. So nowadays it's just a time when everyone has a day off for reasons. So yeah, we had a random 3-day weekend. We've got another one at the end of the month. So yeah, I certainly can't complain if you have an extended break. And it was a day to get stuff around the house done, peeling wallpaper and stuff like that.
Oh, Rob, you know what I wanted to say? We missed. Well, obviously, we recorded for a lot of hours last week. Well, a lot of hours last week. I went back and listened to. Sometimes I like to listen back to the episode just to make sure that like I sound okay and what can I do to improve. So I'm listening back to our damn near 4-hour long episode of us in Vegas, and I mentioned our Bullzilla and Ulf Herman stories. It came in a 3-part story. I never finished said story. So I will use the beginning of this episode to finish part 3 of the story. Because as usual, we're all over the place in the best way possible. So folks, what had happened was, again, this is part 3 of the story. I'm not going to rehash part 1 and part 2. If you're listening to this, you probably listened to our Vegas mega episode. So we're leaving WrestleCon and we're trying to find out where to get the Uber because the day before we got the Uber in the wrong place. Sometimes they pick you up in front, sometimes they pick you up in the back. So before I order the Uber, the service is like, no, you have to go in the back. So okay, no problem. As we're leaving, as we have to go back through the hotel in WrestleCon, we see Ulf Herman once again. Of course, we remember what he looks like because he's massive, in shape, and has tattoos. So we see Ulf Herman, and then we see next to him another person that's very big that we've seen quite a bit, Bozilla. I was like, oh, so I was like, hey, Ulf, fancy seeing you here. Comes in, gives us a hug, and then he's like, this is my daughter. I'm like, we know who she is. We're massive fans. So she comes over. We had a nice chat with her, talking about, we'd love to see her back in Japan. They basically said she has a lot of offers on the table from companies all over the world, which we knew she would. I mean, who's not going to want Bozilla? She's going to be a hot commodity. So she's the mighty Bozilla. She's also the sweetheart of Bozilla because she was really, really nice.
So lovely.
Took a picture with us, and we had a really, really nice conversation with her. So that's how that story came full circle, because that was one of my favorite stories that we had over WrestleMania weekend because it expanded a few days. We got to see Ulf Herman, our new buddy, again. We got to see Bozilla. We exchanged some words. Once she finishes once she's all settled in from going back home, we are going to try to have her on the show. It's looking like more like a likely. And then again, I would love to have her dad on the show because, again, he was one of my favorites in ECW, in that little run he had towards the 2000s. So I would love to get some behind the scenes stories of ECW. So again, I was like, how did we miss the last part? Again, we were just talking about the Avengers. That's like watching Iron Man and then going up to watching all the way up until Infinity War. And I'm like, I'm not going to watch Endgame. But yeah, we just literally bumped into them again and actually got a chance to meet Bozilla. We complimented her on her phenomenal match she had with Megan Bayne, which we did talk about the show. It was one of my favorite matches of the entire weekend, not just GCW, but you add in everything from WrestleMania. It was probably a top 5 match that I saw over that loaded weekend. So again, she couldn't have been any nicer, and her dad is just a stand-up gentleman. So that's how that story ended. It ended with a happy ending, my friend, because again, Bozilla, even though she's mighty, an absolute sweetheart and a gem of a person, and gave us a really great conversation. And again, we hope to have her on the show sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was very much the end game of the Bozilla story. And as soon as we'd finished recording, I was like, I don't think we spoke about seeing Bozilla randomly in a hotel. But yeah, and then obviously we saw Hanan and Sayurida, and that was where we saw her with Hendrix's flowers. So that was how we knew that she'd walked off with the flowers, because Hanan and Sayurida walked past. But yeah, it was a lovely way to end that day, because that was a Sunday, wasn't it? I believe. No, it was a Saturday. It was the Saturday, wasn't it? Because it was Hanan and Sayurida that were there.
Yeah.
But it was a lovely way to top that off before we headed over to WrestleMania Night 1. Yeah, going back to Marigold, we have a significant amount to cover. So when we spoke to you last, we just reviewed a fantastic Korakuen Hall show back on the 25th of April, which, believe it or not, was only 2 weeks ago, which was main evented by, in my eyes, a 5-star classic between Marigold and Marvelous. I thought it was a phenomenal match, a brilliant preview for Mirai and Utami's red belt match. Now we know that is happening in Yoyagi with Mirai just dealing out just blitzing lariats that should be illegal. I've got a feeling that they should be outlawed, but Utami gave some back, and we'll be talking about that very shortly. But yeah, phenomenal Korakuen Hall show. And then, of course, there has been the announcement that Mayu Iwatani has signed with Marigold. We do a big section on that on our Stardom Cast show, the Vegas Megasode. So please go and listen to that. We don't want to sort of rehash that, because we have spoken about it in detail, because we thought it was important, the whole Mayu signing for a different company. But something I did want to bring up, obviously, we're going to be talking about Rising Spirit, the tour all the way through from night 2 on the 26th of April all the way through to the Korakuen Hall show that has literally just happened on the 4th of May, which of course had Mayu Iwatani's Marigold debut against Nanae Takahashi. And understandably, Mayu's debut and the match that she subsequently had against Nanae brought about a lot of praise. And the Marigold show in itself brought about a lot of praise, but it also brought about a misnomer that I kind of want to address as best I can. And simply because there was a lot of people who sort of said, oh, because Mayu's on the card, people have upped their games. Or, oh, because Mayu's there, Marigold's good now. And I think that's doing a disservice to the people in Marigold who have been going. Now, if you look at the period between Summer Destiny and where we are now in the 6th of May as we record, there is so much that Marigold have done well. Now, just categorizing it as, oh, Mayu's there now, it's going to be good, that's doing a disservice to the incredible work that the likes of Kazuna Tanaka, Miku Aono, Mirai, Rea Seto, all of these people, Victoria Yuzuki, Utami, all of these women that have been doing fantastic work. Mai Sakurai, Koki Amare before the injury. That's doing a disservice to the work that they've done. Now, obviously, we've spoken about it ad nauseum. Marigold have been hit by an injury bug that's just unreal. Like, everything happened at once. And we've said before, I don't know who broke the mirror in Marigold for all that bad luck, but everything happened at once, which for a small roster is obviously a hugely inopportune thing. However, there's still so much good that you can go back and check out. Sari and Bozilla from Korakuen Hall, phenomenal. Nanae and Sari from Shinjuku Face, tremendous. I stand by the fact that Marigold have not put on a bad Korakuen Hall show. Every single Korakuen has hit. The main events, the title matches, I think, with the exception of maybe the tank match in Utami, but that wasn't at Korakuen anyway, I would argue that every single singles title match has hit. Now, obviously, the acquisition of Mayu Iwatani is the biggest thing ever. We saw that they drew 1,120 people to Korakuen Hall, which is, 75% increase on the 690 they drew back in April. But how often, Matt, have we said that the attendances are nothing to do with the product? Because the product that we see in ring is very, very, very good. Now, yes, the chances are that 1,120 might go down a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, people have seen Mayu Iwatani's debut. It was this huge thing, Mayu Iwatani versus Nanae Takahashi for the first time since 2012. However, they've come for Mayu. But then you look at the Miko Ano versus Kazuna Tanaka match. People are going to stay because they're like, Kazuna Tanaka is phenomenal, and she's 20. She's got so many years left. They're going to stay for that preview tag match because, yes, most of it was about Utami and Mirai, and good God. But Seri Yamaoka, Victoria Yuzuki, they'll stay for them. Mai Sakurai, is that the same Mai Sakurai from Stardom?
Nope.
Good grief. How different is she? And then, of course, she's taking on, in my opinion, one of the best wrestlers in the company in Misa Matsui, who, again, in my opinion, is one of the most improved wrestlers in the entirety of wrestling.
And characters, too. And characters. Yeah. It's one thing when you can improve both of them at the same time. She was, with the exception of probably Utami over the past 2 months, she's probably the hottest thing in Marigold. Obviously, Mayu. You understand what I'm saying because of the character change, how great the matches were. And now she's more aggressive. She's doing a great job on the cheating. She joined the only official faction in Marigold. Obviously, King's Journey still not a thing, but I mean, again, Marigold, we know you listen. We keep giving it to you. So, but yeah, I mean, they're on a real upward swing too, Rob. And I do want to point out because obviously, we have a lot of shows to cover, and more than likely, this is going to be another one of our longer episodes. But I do want to point out everybody's excited that Mayu is in Marigold, except for one person, Utami Hayashishita. She's just like, guys, I'm the red belt champion. And I think her and Mariah made it a personal mission to be like, look, and they do. Rossi does a great job with these preview tag matches to build the championship matches. He did it just recently with all those Bozilla versus Utami tag matches, whether they were 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and it built to a great Korakuen Hall main event and drew really well. That's exactly what they're doing with Utami and Mariah. And again, Utami and Mirai, they've been in the same company together since 2022 when Mirai came over to Stardom. Obviously, they are friends because they wouldn't be hitting each other as hard as humanly possible if they weren't. They know going into that big show coming up at the end of the month, there's going to be a lot of fanfare on Nanae because obviously your last match, a lot of fanfare on Mayu because obviously she's, the greatest to ever do it in her prime coming over. But the championship match is Utami and Mirai. And they're kind of going to be like, don't forget about us, because that very well can be not only the best match of the show, that very well can be the best match Marigold has all year if these preview tags are anything to go by. So I love how Utami has taken to social media and done interviews and basically saying like, yeah, Mayu's here, that's great, but like, hello, like I'm the champion. I'm the Crimson Red Belt champion. Don't forget, I ended Mayu's run back in 2020. It was me, and I'm a better wrestler now. So I like how Utami is basically taking it as a personal challenge to be like, look, I have the symbol of this company. And again, that is really cool because you can throw that story. And Sonny and Stu do, if they ever have a big match in Korakuen Hall, Sonny and Stu can easily, because they always talk about the history of Stardom and where the wrestlers come from. Sonny and Stu can easily put on commentary saying, hey, 5 years ago, it was Utami. Only 2 years into her career, Utami Hayashishita is the one that ended Mayu's championship run back at the end of 2020. So after Utami won the 5-star Grand Prix. So there's a simple story there, but I like how Utami's like, yeah, great, she's here. Yeah, everybody's happy and she's excited that she's here. But I'm the ace of this company, and I'm still the ace of this company. So there is something there on the back burner when they're ever ready to pull it. But I think as a point of pride, Rob, and again, from what we see in these preview tag matches, Utami and Mirai has the potential to be one of the best matches we see all year, not just in Marigold, but in pro wrestling. And I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. And, injuries are going to derail a lot of things, especially when you get that volume of injury in such a short amount of time. It's going to derail any company. Don't mistake that for the in-ring product being bad. It's never been bad. In fact, quite the opposite. Every match every title match, every Korakuen Hall title match has been tremendous. Every match has been built really, really well. I imagine that the injury to Koki Amare has derailed a lot of stuff. We had the injuries in 2024, which derailed a lot of stuff. We had Nanae Takahashi was supposed to be taking on Sari at Korakuen Hall. That changed. A lot of things have changed, yet Marigold have continually put on fantastic matches. And again, saying that, Marigold's good now because Mayu's in it, it does do a disservice to the likes of Misa Matsui, to the likes of Mai Sakurai, who's been slowly but surely putting on these great matches with the white belt, Miko Aono before that, Victoria Yuzuki and Natsumi Shizuki with the Superfly title. Even Mirai Saku with the Twin Star Championships. Every Twin Star Championships match was great. Nanae and Seri Yamaoka have been putting on great matches. And then, of course, we've got the Marigold and Marvelous feud. So Marigold is hot now, yes, absolutely. And there is a buzz around Mayu, as there should be. And Marigold should be raking in this buzz, absolutely, because they have definitely got more fans now because of Mayu coming over to Marigold. However, of those 1,120 fans, yeah, there might be a drop at the next Korakuen, but there will be people who have seen those wrestlers and gone, Jesus Christ, they're good. Misa Matsui's fantastic. Kazuna Tanaka's fantastic. Victoria Yuzuki's fantastic. This red belt match between Utami and Mirai, where they legitimately might actually kill each other, there is a buzz. There is going to be an entrapment of more fans. And I'm really happy for the company because they had rotten luck at the end of 2024 and to come out on the top. I mean, let's look at the way that the company started. You were looking to build that first part of the company around Julia. What happened? Injured in the first match. Like, you could not write it.
Yeah.
But the mark of a good company is when you are able to right the ship, to navigate through turbulent waters. And Marigold have done that with aplomb and have come out off the back of it with a, back-to-back show of the year contenders with these last two Korakuen Hall shows. Really, really good shows. And I cannot wait to go through the 835 dates that we have got to go through. So with that being said, Mr. Turner, let's start with night 2 of Marigold Rising Spirit, which was from the 26th of April 2025, the day after the Korakuen Hall show we've just been talking about. This was from the 176 box in Osaka. Now, the attendance was 239. It is roughly a 17% decrease on their previous attendance at the venue. Pardon me, 288 on the 8th of March. So a little bit of a decrease. But again, I do imagine that these attendances will start to pick up, which we'll see actually with the first post-Mayu date as well. Talking about the results then, we opened with a singles match. Komomo Minami defeating Riara in her first singles match back since injury with the Komo latch in 4 minutes and 41 seconds. Tag team match, Natsumi Shozuki and Ryoko Sakimura defeated Minami Yuki and Nagisa Takibana. Natsumi Shozuki submitting Takibana with the Lion Tamer in 9 minutes and 34 seconds. In a tag team match, the Darkness Revolution team of Megaton and Gigaton defeated our Lord and Savior Flying Penguin and Hummingbird Gigaton, reversing a Hummingbird move into a modified Osui suplex in 8 minutes and 34 seconds. 6-woman tag, Chika Goto, Mai Sakurai, and Miko Aono, and the Darkness Revolution team of Chiaki, Misa Matsui, and Nagisa Nozaki ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. And then in your main event, Kazuna Tanaka, Victoria Yuzuki, and Utami Hayashishita defeated Mirai, Rea Seto, and Seri Yamaoka, with Utami pinning Rea Seto with a German suplex in 15 minutes and 49 seconds. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please forgive us if we whip through some of these matches slightly quicker, simply because we have got 5 shows we need to get through. And there's some
Mayu. We're going to talk about Mayu.
The whole Mayu thing. Yeah, exactly. And everything coming out of that Korakuen Hall show, the card that we are sort of getting towards with Yoyagi, which it looks and sounds amazing. So please forgive us if we do whip through some of these quote unquote road to shows. Starting with Komomo Minami and Rea, it's great to see Komomo Minami back. She was really, really progressing when she got knocked out with that injury to her knee. Really surprising that Rea is taking the amount of L's that she is taking at the moment. It seems like she is the designated pin eater, even when there's rookies in the match. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. At 4 minutes and 41 seconds, there's not a great deal to sink your teeth into. What I am really pleased to see is that Komomo Minami has been clearly working on some stuff in the dojo, some new moves in there. And secondly, I really like Rea. Rea has got something that she can offer going forward. And again, we talked about how she'd be a great heel. I disagree with my previous sentiment from the previous podcast after what Sonny said at Korakuen about her parents disowning her. I want her to be the biggest babyface in the world, and I want her to win everything. So yeah, this is a good enough match. 2.5 stars. Again, it's one of those that is a good outing for someone that has come back from injury. Now, Matt, I believe you haven't actually seen this show, so please interject.
Which is weird because I didn't I know we had a whole bunch of shows and I was like, how did I miss this? So again, I pride myself on being a completist. I've seen every Stardom show from 2021 until current day, and I have commented on it. So what I will do probably this weekend, I will watch said show and I will do a quick little YouTube video for those who care. So that look for that on the YouTube. So that's what I will which is again, I apologize. I pride myself on being a professional and being timely, and I just somehow this just got lost in the shuffle. I guess the main thing is Komomo Minami. You're not putting her in a 10-minute match back right away. You're kind of letting her get her bearings back. So again, folks, I apologize, but I did see the other 84 shows that coincide with this. But again, I'll probably put something out on a quick little YouTube video probably this weekend, which is another reason why you should subscribe to our fantastic YouTube page.
Absolutely. Moving on to the tag team match that saw Natsumi Shozuki and Ryoko Sakimura defeat Minami Yuki and Nagisa Takibana. This is why I really like the undercard tags in Marigold, because you have got Natsumi Shozuki, who is an absolute brute, just torturing rookies. And there's an oddly satisfying sort of pleasure that I get out of watching just Natsumi Shozuki beat people up. Unfortunately, it was Nagisa Takibana that was the subject of the lion tamer on this. But again, we talk about things that Marigold have been doing very, very well. The reps that we've gotten from Ryoko Sakimura have seen her really improve. Nagisa Takibana's come back from injury. She is really beginning to hit her stride. Minami Yuki as well. Rookie of the Year in 2024. I'd be interested to know if that was always going to be the case, or if it was, if it was going to be Komomo Minami before her injury. I'm really intrigued to know. However, Minami Yuki has taken that ball. She's been in main events and she's really progressed. The confidence is quite clearly there. However, Natsumi Shozuki made light work of Nagisa Takibana by delivering one of the most high-angled lion tamers I've ever seen in my life, with a disgusting amount of talk on Nagisa Takibana's back. 3.25 stars. Thoroughly enjoyed this sub 10-minute encounter. Moving on, Flying Penguin, the return of the Marigold Standard Lord and Savior, teaming with Hummingbird against Megaton and Gigaton. Matt Turner in the most positive way possible. This was a Megaton and Gigaton match. But what makes me laugh is with Megaton, who is improving in ring. In Korakuen Hall, she's definitely improved in ring. However, Gigaton, there's still those flashes of Naoya Ishikawa, allegedly. There's still those flashes of Naoya Ishikawa that show actually she's still a really good wrestler, aside from the gimmicky stuff that we see. And the way she was able to modify what Hummingbird was trying to do and pin her with the Osui suplex worked really well. And again, we're going to talk about Naoya Ishikawa and the reaction that she got in Korakuen Hall, because she is stupidly over still. This was, again, a good match, 2 3/4 stars. It was fine. Not a lot to talk about, though, even though Hummingbird eats a pin, which doesn't happen very often unless she's in a main event, because often she'll be the one racking up those victories on the undercard, which again, we see later on. Moving on, this was really enjoyable. A 6-woman tag, Mai Sakurai, Miku Ano, and Chika Goto, and the Darkness Revolution team of Nagisa Nozaki, Chiaki, and Misa Matsui. Miku Ano's kicks. Now, we have talked ad nauseum about how Miku Ano is training at the K1 dojo, how her kicks are going to improve, how they're hard, how they must hurt. There has been, over the last month or so, a notable increase in the violence and the sound of Miku Ano's kicks, which sound like tree branches breaking at this point. And she delivered one. I think it was Chiaki that she hit with one. And honestly, it echoed around the venue. And I know I say that a lot, but this legitimately echoed. And it was one of those where the crowd were like, Jesus, Miku, calm down. It was a little bit of a preview as well, obviously, for Mai Sakurai and Misa Matsui. They delivered a lot of what we hoped that they would deliver, and then, of course, what they would go on to do at Korakuen Hall, a really good way of whetting the crowd's appetite. Don't mind it going to a time limit draw, as it is basically a Road 2 show, and you are looking at it as a preview for Mai Sakurai and Misa Matsui. 3.5 stars. Misa Matsui, Nagisa Nozaki, and Chiaki are a really good trio, work really well together. I would love to see Misa Matsui and Nagisa Nozaki as a more established tag team, though, because they work so well. They're both so good. And then in your main event, Utami, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kazuna Tanaka versus Mirai, Seri Yamaoka, and Rea Seto. Couple of things to note from this. One, Utami and Mirai, we're going to be repeating ourselves quite a lot with this preview. Because in the best possible way, because in my opinion, this is the hottest red belt match that Marigold have. And they have done a wonderful job of building it. And I would argue that this is, Bozilla and Utami was well built. I would argue this has been better built. And it's because you have got an intensity in Mirai that just is unparalleled. And even on these, quote unquote Road 2 shows, on these Wrestle Universe shows, on these tour shows, whatever you want to call them, Mirai, in the similar vein to Jungle Kyona and a similar vein to Hazuki, has no days off. She works so hard. And when we do get those flashes of her and Utami together, they make magic together. That match at Shine Forever is going to be insanity. It's going to be brutal, and I cannot wait. Of course, that's not taking anything away from Celine Flora, Kazuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki, future of this company. Rea Seto, pardon me, in a main event. And not just being in a main event, belonging in a main event and taking it to Utami. Like locking in these smooth arm submissions onto Utami. Really, really, really good stuff. Seri Yamaoka, of course, is the super rookie, though apparently, according to Korakuen Hall, we may have a new challenger to that throne. So keep posted with that. But this was really, really good. It's your typical Marigold Tour Show main event where everyone gets their licks in, but everything is smooth and everything works. It's great to see Rea Seto being elevated to this main event level because she deserves it. Again, really great to see the passion of Kazuna Tanaka. We're going to be talking about that later. Victoria Yuzuki. She's so much more than a future ace because she is so dependable at the top of this card. She works really well with Utami. I saw someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, said it's going to be such a shame when Mayu takes Victoria Yuzuki back because her and Utami have been working so well together. And they have, it's true. They work really well as a tag team because you've got the athleticism, the speed, and the high-flying nature of Victoria Yuzuki, and the power and the cool, calm, stoic nature of Utami. So it is going to be a shame to a certain extent, even though I think we all know it is coming. 3 3/4 stars. For me, at least, this is the one you need to go out of your way to go and see. 3 3/4 stars. Really, really good
The
match.
reformation of King's Journey, it looked like there, my friend, with Celine Flora and Utami Hayashishita. That's got to be your big three in King's
Absolutely.
Journey. Yes.
I mean, I don't want to say that it is the biggest faction ever to come out of wrestling, but it is. Let's be perfectly honest. Moving on to night 3 of the Rising Spirit Tour, and of course, this was notable for a lot of things, but mainly because of the return of Jungle Kyona, which is not something I thought I would say out loud. It's a first match in wrestling since the 14th of April, 2023, over 2 years ago. She last wrestled Nomad's Freelance Summit Volume 3, a match, by the way, that also included Nanae Takahashi. So there you go. Nice roundabout. But then since then, knee injuries have kept her out of the ring. It did look very briefly that would be the last match of her career. It's also the first time since the 4th of October 2020 that she's competed in front of a hometown crowd of Nagoya. So almost 5 years since she's wrestled in Nagoya. And then, of course, this has been her first singles match since the 12th of December 2022, where she lost the DPW Women's World title #1 contendership match to Emi Sakura. So again, fantastic to see that Jungle will be on this card, even if it is just a 5-minute exhibition. I was so excited. I really, really was. And we've talked a lot about this over time, about how it's going to be great to see Jungle get that ending that she has earned, that final run. Again, it might be 2 years, might be 1 year, might be 8 weeks, who knows? But it's great to see that she's got that opportunity. Anyway, that being said, the attendance inside of the Chunichi Hall has not been made public at the time of writing. It's the 4th time Marigold have run the venue. Their current highest is 315, which was on the 2nd of February, which, if you remember, was Victoria Yuzuki and Misa Matsui for the Superfly title on top. Their average is around 296. Though again, this will change, obviously, if the attendance for the show is released. Going into the results then, 3-way match, Ryoko Sakimura defeated Hummingbird and Nagisa Takibana. Sakimura getting the submission victory over Takibana with the spider entanglement in 5 minutes and 33 seconds. In a singles match, Natsumi Shozuki continued her run of just brutalizing people, defeating Riara with a diving double knee drop in 6 minutes and 4 seconds. Singles match next, Seri Yamaoka defeated Komomo Minami with the Aoki clutch in 8 minutes and 41 seconds in what I consider to be a real hidden gem of this tour so far. Tag team match, the Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Gigaton defeated Chikagoto and Minami Yuki. Misa Matsui utilizing that phenomenal running knee strike in 9 minutes and 9 seconds. 6-woman tag next, Kazuna Tanaka, Mai Sakurai, and Miko Aono defeated the Darkness Revolution team of Chiaki, Megaton, and Nagisa Nozaki. Tanaka submitting Megaton with the Fujiwara armbar in 14 minutes and 36 seconds. The 5-minute exhibition match, Nanae Takahashi versus Jungle Kyona, ended in a 5-minute time limit draw. Can't wait to talk about that with you in a moment, Matt. And then in your main event, tag team action, Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki defeating Mirai and Rea Seto, with Victoria Yuzuki pinning Rea Seto with the moonsault in 19 minutes and 26 seconds. So, Matt, we start with the 3-way, and contrary to what I said earlier, it is an undercard match where Hummingbird doesn't get the victory.
Yeah, she's been almost like the Fukian death of these
Really
3-ways.
Yeah.
Maybe they could be cousins. We don't know. We don't know what's under the paint and or under the mask. This was a really fun way to start the show. Again, we've seen Ryoko Sakamaro and Nagisa Takibana really, really upping their game, and considering they're just rookies. We mentioned before, last week and the week before, that Nagisa Takibana, she has been back from injury. She's really, really made up for lost time. I mean, she's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch on the undercard. And this one really clicked. They really made the most of their time in the ring. I thought this was a fun opener. And then again, we're seeing Ryoko getting another win with her version of the Koji clutch, what she calls the spider entanglement. Really fun match, only a little bit over 5 minutes. Didn't overstay its welcome. Everybody went in. They got their stuff in. They played the hits, and then they told a really good story with, again, Ryoko getting a win with that submission hold. I had it 3.25 stars.
Moving on then, singles action. Natsumi Shozuki, again, as I mentioned in the rundown, just continuing on her blitzing through the undercard by destroying Riara. Some really good stuff, though, that they did here together, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, Natsumi, she came in, she was really dominant early on, and she made Riara fight from behind. And she gave Riara a little bit, but then again, towards the end, she just used those strikes to set up for that diving double knee stomp. 6 minutes, not a whole lot of time to really go and tell their story. I thought maybe if it went a little bit longer and they gave Riara a little bit more in this match, but I think it was just basically just to show the underdog that is Riara and just the dominance that is Natsumi Shozuki, which we saw her striking on point as we usually do for one of our favorite wrestlers here at Marigold. I gave this one 3.25 stars.
Yeah, I give it 3 stars. Again, it's a good undercard match if you go and check it out. We move on. As I mentioned before, one of the hidden gems of this glut of shows that we're going to be going through, Seri Yamaoka and Komomo Minami. First time they've ever wrestled each other. And what was made sort of a point that was made on English commentary of the Korakuen that's just gone by, is that Komomo Minami has never faced Seri Yamaoka, because when Seri Yamaoka debuted on the 3rd of January, Komomo Minami was still out with that knee injury that she sustained prior to the new year. So these were both unknown quantities to the other. And I think they did very, very well together, considering that they've had minimal exposure to each other, Matt.
Yeah, this was really good because obviously we know Seri has that background in amateur wrestling. And Komomo Minami is really good when it comes to like the submissions. We saw some great technical wrestling early on. Then they traded submissions back and forth. Really a nice back and forth 50-50 match. Really neither wrestler had too much of an advantage until Seri hits the German suplex and the Yoki clutch for the win. I totally agree with you. This was a hidden gem of a match between all of these fantastic shows. There's a lot of wrestling, folks. There is a lot of wrestling. And if you're trying to get caught up on Marigold and don't have the time to watch every single one of these matches from Golden Week, this is one I would actively point out. This was a really fun match. And this would be one, again, the match went just a little bit over 8 minutes. If this one, in a year, 2 years from now, goes 13, 14, 15 minutes, you're really looking at two of the wrestlers that may be challenging for two of the bigger belts in Marigold in the next few years. This was great. Again, this is a glimpse into the future. I had this at 3.5 stars. Fantastic match, a nice 50-50 technical wrestling match. It's like this was right up my alley. No rules were broken. This was a nice back and forth stuff with eventually Seri opening the door, hitting the German suplex, and then the Aoki clutch for the win. Again, 3.5 stars. This was a fun, fantastic match.
Yeah, and I'm glad you've brought that up, because both of these two have youth on their side. Obviously, we know that Seri is 18, and we know that Komomo Minami, I believe, is 22. And they've both got a lot of years left. And there's obviously, rightly so, a lot of buzz around Seri being this super rookie. But Komomo Minami is someone who, just prior to her injury, we waxed lyrical about how much she was improving in ring and how smooth she was getting. And actually, I thought this was another great indication of just how much she's progressed since that debut. So that is another reason why this match greatly excited me, because I'm a big fan of Komomo Minami, big fan of Seri Yamaoka as well. But for her to have this exposure and to have this level of singles match just after coming back from a fairly hefty injury, I'm very happy for the real Peach. Chikagoto and Minami Yuki versus Misa Matsui and Gigaton. Misa Matsui, is it the best running knee strike in wrestling? Because I struggle to think of one that is better.
Now that the American Dragon is retired,
Absolutely.
I heard Kenta had a great match challenging for the GHE Championship this past week, and that is a match I will try to get to, because basically Kenta's almost the innovator of said move.
Yeah.
but it's definitely up there. I mean, she definitely comes off with a lot more speed and a lot more snap to it. But I mean, I mean, and I like the fact we made mention the past few weeks since she's turned heel that she needs to use that as a finish. And she hasn't won too many matches with it, but I'm glad she got the win here. And this match, it was a fun match, obviously. Gigaton, who may or may not be one now, Ishikawa, she got her gimmick over. Minami Yuki is somebody that is fantastic. This match, Rob, it makes you want to see a singles match and maybe a singles program with Go Chica and Misa Matsui because their exchanges were violent. They were up in your face. There was a lot of fighting spirit, a lot of really great back and forth stuff. But ultimately, this match is just building Misa Matsui up to her United National Championship match, which we'll get into at the end of this show. Again, solid match. I had it at 3.5 stars, but I want to see a Go Chica versus Misa Matsui match somewhere down the line.
This impassioned Go Chica that we are getting, again, since the Koki Amare injury on the 3rd of January, has been such a, I don't want to say a breath of fresh air because that makes it sound like Chica Goto's stale, and she's never been stale, but I think she relied a little bit on her aura and star power and things like that beforehand because she does have that aura. When she enters, people, she automatically draws the eye. She does the Go Chica thing. But in the ring, it was always not basic because that's not fair, but you get my drift. However, now there's that determination and fire and fighting spirit. She's beginning to put it together and becoming someone who you want to see in these big programs, because for a fact that fighting from when we saw it against Takumi Aroa. Takumi Aroa battered her, absolutely battered her. But her fighting spirit, that desire, that look of genuinely terrifying aggression in her eyes, that's what we want to see. And again, a singles program between her and Misa Matsui trying to overcome the odds of the Darkness Revolution, I think would be a really good way to use Chica Goto moving forward. 6-woman tag, Miku Ono, Kazuna Tanaka, Mai Sakurai, and the Darkness Revolution. Now, again, I am going to reference the English commentary from the Korakuen Hall show quite a lot because Sonny Gutierrez made a point that if Megaton is locked in a submission, she will immediately tap. Like, doesn't wait, just immediately taps. Now, ever since I've watched Megaton matches to see if and she does absolutely immediately. If she is locked in a submission, she will tap out. Now, either that proves that she is one of the weakest wrestlers in the entire world, or one of the smartest.
Or, Rob, to go off the smartest thing, maybe she's underpaid and was like, the heck with this. I'm just going to tap out. I'm going to tap out. And again, and you know what? And again, watch your feet. I'm going to drop a name. I remember years ago, I did a training seminar with Tony Mamaluke from ECW, and he would be teaching us submission holds. And he would say, if you're going to tap out in this in the UFC or big MMA, you should tap out of it in pro wrestling. Now it's like it's a big championship match and you're building towards it. And that always stuck with me. And then for somebody who trains catch wrestling, I'm telling you, once you get put in this hold, once it's in, and you're tapping out. So good on Megaton. So I agree, Rob. I think she may be one of the smartest wrestlers because it's like, the submission's in. If this stays any longer, it's going to get worse and something may snap. And, and we all love our Lord and Savior, one Megaton. So I agree with you. As far as match goes, I love, and again, we have a lot of steam coming off that Marvelous versus a lot of stories coming off that Marvelous versus Marigold 5-on-5 match from Korakuen Hall the week prior. One of the things coming out of it is Kazuna Tanaka and Miku Ano. They're going to team together, and then they're going to go against each other. So that was a lot coming up on this tour, but ultimately the exclamation point being the Korakuen Hall match, which we're going to get into. And again, I love Miku Ano and Natsumi Shozuki as a tag team. I think that they're great. But if they're going to pivot and give us Miku Ano versus Kazuna Tanaka to have a run, I'm definitely all for that because I think that they worked really well together. And obviously, you have Mai Sakurai here, who again is one of the most improved wrestlers over the last year and a half in all of wrestling, not just in Marigold, like a completely different wrestler. Like she was solid in Stardom, a solid mid-carder. She had that ladyship gimmick that really made her stood out. But you would I don't want to see her wrestle more than 8-9 minutes just because of, she has a certain, she can only go so far. And then all of a sudden she goes in Marigold and she has these great matches. She had the great match with Julie. And now it's like, give me a 20, 25-minute Mai Sakurai match because she's great. She's a great storyteller. The way she builds and sells. I mean, she's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch in Marigold, which is saying something when you have a Mayu and Utami, Mirai, and a Miko Ano. So obviously Sakurai here was terrific. She has great chemistry with Nagisa Nozaki. We know that. But for me, this match was a little bit of a tag team tease between the former Twin Star Tag Team Champions with Chiaki and Nagisa Natsumi, Nagisa Nozaki, against Miko Ano and Kazuna Tanaka. Easy for me to say. So again, that's a match I would love to see maybe for a number one contenders match. But I like how the match is built around, and then Kazuna Tanaka is able to get a win with the Fujiwara armbar because that is a legit shoot hold. From Fujiwara. Again, Carl Gotch has always said that Fujiwara was his number one student. And Kazuna Tanaka, the way she works it, the way she locked it in here, I thought was terrific. You could have had any one of these babyface tag team win, whether it was Sakurai with the Goodwin elbow drop, whether it was her with the STF or Miko Ano with the Styles Clash. But I liked how we got Kazuna Tanaka a proper win here with the Fujiwara armbar. Again, very much like Misa Matsui's knee. We want to see her winning more matches with that because it's fantastic. I want to see Kazuna Tanaka win more matches with the Fujiwara armbar because it's a simple yet devastating move to lock in. I had this match 3.5 stars, buddy.
Yeah, and again, Megaton, self-preservation, I think, when locked in these holds. But yeah,
I like that. Self-presentation Megaton.
Absolutely. It's what you do. If you're locked, if you know you're not getting out of it, submit. You don't want your arm breaking. But yes, they seem to be building something with Kazuna Tanaka and Miko Ano. And if that's where we're going, I'm on board. I'm on board because, again, they've proved quite a lot throughout the tour up to Korakuen that they work really well together, and then they work really well as opponents as well. And there's that old saying that if you work well as opponents, you're going to work well as a team. So I am more than happy to see that it come into fruition. Nanae Takahashi and Jungle Kyona. Now, of course, this isn't going to be your 5-star classic. And just FYI, I haven't rated this match, and I won't be rating this match. This was without doubt one of the most special moments in Marigold's short history. And I don't say that lightly. And it might sound like a hyperbole, but genuinely, again, seeing Jungle Kyona get the moment that she didn't think she was going to get really did. Again, I put it on Twitter. There was goosebumps to see her get that moment. And yes, this match may have been 5 minutes. Yes, she might not have been in a ring in over 2 years. She took this to Nanae. Like, this was an unknown for us as fans. We didn't know what Jungle was able to do. We didn't know what sort of handicap her knees would play. We didn't know if she was going to come back at 100%. We didn't know if she was going to be able to do the same things. What we knew she was going to bring was that passion, that fire, passion because of obviously Nanae, but that fire, that just unbridled aggression that we know Jungle Kyona can bring, that power. And we got little moments of that during this, and that got me really, really excited. And you know what? Full credit to Nanae Takahashi. If you're going to put someone in this situation, as you are with Jungle, you want to put someone in there who is a consummate professional, who is going to look after you, who is going to do what's best for you. And Nanae did that to a T. I mean, she's the living legend of Joshi wrestling. Of course she did. But we're going to be talking a lot about Jungle, and I just want to give Nanae her flowers here because I thought she worked really well with Jungle. Yes, it might have been 5 minutes, but it was a furious 5 minutes. Like, Jungle gave everything to it. And then, obviously, before I throw to you, man, get your opinions, announced that she's making a return. Do you know what? I feel good. I'm returning. Now, whether that is a full-time touring member, like Mayu has announced that she's going to be, or whether it's just going to be on certain shows like Nanae is doing, for example, at the moment, or whether it'll just be Korakuen Hall events, we don't know. Those words, I'm coming back. I'm ready. I want to do it. Music to my ears, Matt Turner.
Again, you're just adding so much great stuff that Marigold's been doing between the great matches, between the builds to all these Utami championship matches, like I mentioned with Bozil and what they're doing with Mirai. Victoria Yuzuki just crushing it. My Sakurai being the most improved wrestler in wrestling over the last year or so, between her and Yuna Mizumori. So, I mean, it's a coin flip. The way the rookies are building up, the way we're bringing Marvelous in, and now obviously Mayu. Now you're adding Jungle Kyona to the mix. They feel really special. Only a year into existence, Marigold feels really special on everything that they're doing. And I'm with you. I knew I wasn't going to rate this match going in because how can you on a match that is going 5 minutes, right? It's not like it's one of those quick 3-4 minute matches
No, of course.
that we see from time to time. But for me, this was just a confidence. You can see as every minute, every moment that goes on, you can see that her confidence is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Whether she had it in her head beforehand or after that she was going to come back full time, I don't know. And I don't want to know. I don't want to ruin the magic. And again, Nane did a great, and what a great send off she's having, this big, long passion countdown, working with all this talent, working with Seri Yamaoka, having a great match, match of the year contender with Mayu and Mayu's Marigold debut. And then basically a match to get Jungle Kyona's confidence back. It's just, again, she's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. She's a first ballot Hall of Famer on anybody's ballot. This was a fun match. Again, you're right. She took it to Nane. Nane then returned it back to her. So we know that's Jungle's style. We just did alternate commentary to her and Mayu, and they obviously took it down. Obviously, they hit a home run with the strikes. Obviously, some of our favorite Jungle matches are against really hard strikers, which Jungle is. The Momos, the Arissas, so on and so forth. And that's what this was. The fact that she's coming back. Again, we don't know if it's full time or not. I would like to see her if she can't do full time, because obviously I think she does commitments as a firefighter or whatever. I like to see her do more matches though, just so she can get that ring rust off. She can get those reps in and work with the younger talent, because every time that we see her in the ring, we're going to sit up a little bit more. We're going to be looking at the screen just a little more intent because we're massive fans of Jungle Kyona. I'm glad she's back. She's picked the best time to come back because, again, this company is on the up and up. It's hot and it's only going to get hotter. And then, her working with the Mayu again, her working with the Utami again, her working with Mirai, because they never got a chance to work together, because when Jungle left, Mirai was just about a year from coming in. Her working with Miko Ano or Rea Seto, Misa Matsui. There's so many great matches there. Her teaming with some of the younger talent as well. Glad to see Jungle back. Again, I would like to see her on, if Marigold's going to run 8 shows a month, I would like to see her at least on 4. This way, again, because she's getting more reps and get that ring rust off. And again, we can be seeing some of these matches, Rob, we never thought we would see before. And again, how lucky are we? Again, no rating on this one, but it's a match that I'm going to remember for a long time because it brought Jungle's confidence back, and it just made all of us Jungle fans smile, which at the end of the day, that's what wrestling's all about, my friend. It's all about fun. And this was great.
Absolutely. And moving on to your main event, Utami and Yuzuki again getting the better of Mirai. And this time, Rea Seto. Again, Rea Seto in the main event. And again, the biggest compliment that I can give her is that she didn't feel out of place in this main event. When you look at the talent in this ring, Mirai, Utami, Victoria Yuzuki, Rea Seto didn't feel out of place. And I did not think, after watching Summer Destiny and seeing the miscommunication that led to the finish, I did not think that I would be saying this about Rea Seto. And yet she has proved me wrong, and I'm happy that she has, because she is doing tremendous work. Of course, this is all about Utami and Mirai. Of course it is. Even when they're not in the ring, it's the anticipation for when they are in the ring. And that's a big thing that we're going to be talking about at the Korakuen Hall show. But this was another great installment in this preview and this consistent heating up of what is going to be a fantastic Red Belt match.
Yeah, again, we know that this was going to be about Mirai and Utami, and rightfully so. But Yuzuki and Rea Seto, they were fantastic. And even the
Really
exchanges we saw with Mirai and Yuzuki, I'm like, ooh, I want to see that in the Dream Star. Then Utami and Rea Seto, again, they were few and far between, but they were really good because your elder statesmen, your main eventers, Mirai and Utami, they gave the younger wrestlers enough to sink their teeth into to make this match even more entertaining than we knew it was going to be. And you're right, Tommy does such a great job. We've seen it so much with these Joshis over the last few years, Rob, that we've been lucky enough to cover Marigold Stardom. We've been seeing in Sendai Girls, and a little bit we've been seeing in Tokyo Joshi Pro. A lot of these main event wrestlers, they team up so well with other wrestlers, which is weird because, growing up, I would never see Ricky Morton team with anybody other than Robert Gibson and like Tully and Arn and whatnot. And I know Arn had Oli, but you know what I mean. So it's like we see Utami so great here with Yuzuki. She was so great with Sai Kamatani. Andy Header and I, for our Patreon members, quick plug, we just did a tag team breakdown of Utami and Azumi versus Crazy Star. And I was like, it's going to show you what a special talent Utami is. She's a great singles wrestler. She does a great job taking wrestlers in the middle of the card and making them look like they can beat the champion that she is. But her and Victoria Yuzuki, I know they never won the. And no, Marigold's only been a company for a year. I know they never won the tag belts. They might be the best tag team that we've seen in this first year from Marigold, which is saying something because Yuzuki's the Superfly champion and Utami's at the top of the card as the red belt champion. They work so well together, which again is just akin to how great Utami is and how great Victoria Yuzuki is. And the two of them are only going to get better. Again, we talk all the time about how young Victoria Yuzuki is. Tommy Hayashishita, it's not like she's 60 years old. She's very young as well, and her career only going to get better. Yes, you're absolutely right. The exchanges with Mirai and Utami were terrific. Rea Seto, you mentioned it before. I'm going to mention it again. She does belong in these main events on these quote-unquote spot shows, these Wrestle Universe shows. She's another one that we've seen rise up to the ranks so fast, so quick, and only going to get better. Now, the fact that Mayu's there and Jungle Kyona's there to tutelage these wrestlers, she's one that I can see at the end of this year is going to have a really breakout year. This was a phenomenal match. Obviously, Victoria Yuzuki hitting the moonsault for the win. This is my favorite match of this show. I gave this one the solid 4 stars, my friend.
And with that, we move on. We move swiftly on, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our run through the Rising Spirit Tour. And we move to night for the 29th of April 2025 from Yokohama Radiant Hall. This was live on Wrestle Universe. Did not expect it to be live, but there we are. It was 225 people in the Yokohama Radiant Hall. It's the second time Marigold have run the venue, with this being a nominal 10 people or 4.26% decrease on the previous attendance of 235, which they drew on the 25th of January as a part of the New Year's Golden Garden shows. For the sake of 10 people, I would argue that is irrelevant. In terms of the results, then, they are as follows. Hummingbird defeating Riara with a rolling kick in 7 minutes and 45 seconds. 6-woman tag match. The Darkness Revolution team of Chiaki, Megaton, and Gigaton defeated Minami Yuki, Ryoko Sakimura, and Nagisa Takibana. Megaton getting the win with the Megaton press on Ryoko Sakimura in 6 minutes and 19 seconds. In what was a great little match, Mai Sakurai and Chan Yota and the Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Nagisa Nozaki ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. In a tag team match, Mirai and Seri Yamaoka defeated Utami Hayashishita and Komomo Minami. Mirai pinning Komomo Minami with the Mirror Mesh Shock in 11 minutes and 29 seconds. And then in your main event, 6-woman tag team action, Natsumi Shozuki, Miku Ono, and Chika Goto defeating Victoria Yuzuki, Kazuna Tanaka, and Rea Seto with a buzzsaw kick in 9 minutes and 49 seconds. Back-to-back main events for Rea Seto. But we start, Matt Turner, with Hummingbird doing what Hummingbird does, which is winning on the undercard, and Riara doing what Riara does, which is unfortunately being pinned on the undercard.
Yeah, this was a solid enough opener, kind of a back and forth. You kind of had the explosiveness of Riara versus the speed and the striking ability of Hummingbird. 7 minutes, enough to tell their story, enough to get the crowd warmed up with Hummingbird getting that win with that fancy kick. I like to see more wins with that from Hummingbird, and I like to see her really showcase that striking ability, because we got to see it here almost in full force, and Riara did a good job bumping and feeding and making Hummingbird strike look lethal, which was ultimately the end doing of the match. I gave this one 3 stars.
I think we need to talk about just how ripped Hummingbird is as well. Like, she is in
shredded,
phenomenal shape, like unbelievably. Moving on then to a 6-woman tag. The Darkness Revolution team getting the win, and more importantly, Megaton picking up the win with the Megaton press over the rookie team led by Minami Yuki. Matt, this was sort of par for the course, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, it's kind of paint by numbers. You kind of have the all rookie team. They get enough to get their stuff again. And excuse me, I would like to see, and I made mention this I think last week or the week before. I would like to see Ryoko and Nagisa be a solid tag team because even though that they're rookies,
Mhm.
they work really well together. Again, Manami Yuki is another one. She's just been accelerating her game so fast, so quick. But it was basically more of a comedy match with Megaton getting the win. You have 6 wrestlers, 2 teams in about 7 minutes. You're not getting the Dragon Gate 6-man, crazy match that we'd see on those Ring of Honor shows some 20 years ago. Again, fun enough match. You knew what you're going to get with this one. 3 stars for me, my friend.
Moving on to where the match really picked up, and I've got the wrong graphic. There we go. Moving on to where the match with the show, really started to kick on, and this was the time when we draw my Sakurai, Chan Yota, Misa Matsui, and Nagisa Nozaki. This was fantastic, and why earlier on I said I wanted to see more of Nagisa Nozaki and Misa Matsui teaming for matches like this. I thought this was really, really good fun, and again, brought us that excitement ready for my Sakurai and Misa Matsui, Matt.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Misa and Nagisa, phenomenal tag team. Really, really good stuff. Again, we know that we eventually have to get those belts off Nanae and Seri Yamaoka, not unless she retires with them. But regardless, we're going to have new champions any way you slice it at the end of this month or beginning of next month. Would not be upset if it's Misa and Nagisa because they work well together. Again, you're their only heel faction, the only faction, official faction in Marigold. You put some gold on them. It basically puts more stock and puts them in a better light. So that might be a way to go. And if this was an appetizer of what we're going to get as the 2 of them as tag team champions, I'm all for it because this was great. Obviously, you're building to Sakurai and Misa Matsui for Korakuen. Terrific stuff there. We've seen Chan Yoda team with Mai Sakurai quite a bit. They work really well together. Solid match. The fact that it went 15 minutes, I got no problem with that. Made sense. Enough time to tell their story and basically ended almost on a 50-50 with Misa and Sakurai going into their big championship match in Korakuen Hall. Yeah, great stuff. Great psychology. Great heat. Great fire. Great comeback from Chan Yoda there towards the end. And then the Sakurai just really flattening Nagisa and Misa Matsui because obviously Sakurai and Nagisa, they have a history with Nagisa being one of Sakurai's first challengers for the United National Championship. Really solid stuff. And this is really the show really kind of picked up for me. 3.5 stars for me, partner.
We then moved on to Miku Ano, Natsumi Shizuki, and Chika Goto. Did we? Why is my thing being weird? No, it's Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki. Why is it being weird? There we go. It's
We
that one.
got it.
Utami and Komomo Minami against Mirai and Seri Yamaoka. Sorry, my computer is not working, but there we are. We have the correct graphic. Matt Turner, what did you think of this one?
Again, you're building to Utami and Mirai. Again, they did a great job doing with Utami and Bozilla for their championship match, using these shows to build up, and that's what they're doing here with Utami and Mirai. And again, we made mention a little bit ago that Seri and Komomo Minami have really good chemistry together. So you're adding that chemistry that they have in already, instant chemistry, and you're adding in 2 of your best wrestlers in the company wrestling for the richest prize in Marigold coming up here in less than a month's time. Well, as this show was about a month's time. So you're getting reps with Seri, with Utami. You're getting reps with Komomo and Mirai. They're only going to get progressively better. And again, we've seen Utami being a great tag team wrestler with Azumi, Sai Kamatani when she was part of Stardom. Her and Victoria Yuzuki, that's the tag team to go to for Utami tag matches in Marigold. Her and Komomo Minami work really well together, my man. Work really well together. Komomo Minami, she keeps improving. Obviously, we did see her with new ring gear. It's a possibility she may get the key to join King's Journey. That's a possibility, Rob. We could see it because she worked really well here. Ultimately, though, this match was just really Mirai towards the end, just really battening down the hatches on one Minami Yuki to just really showcase that she's ready to go to take that belt with Utami Hayashishita, and that's what you want to do. You want your challenger to look like she can dethrone the champion, and they've done a great job making Mirai look like that big threat. This was a phenomenal match. 3 3/4 stars for me.
And moving on to your main event, and it's main event Rea Seto, because again, this will be the third of 4 main events that she has been in out of 4 shows. And again, I can't complain. at all. The result, again, the only thing that I don't like about this match is that I wish it had gone longer. 9 minutes and 46 seconds. I want to see more of it. And that, again, that's a credit to all 6 women.
Yeah, you got 10 minutes main event, 6 great wrestlers. We've been singing the praise. Literally since day one, we were blown away with Natsumi and Miko Ano. Chika Goto is somebody, especially from the end of this year, beginning of this year, is somebody that is laser focused. And they put a lot of stock in, especially on that Marvelous versus Marigold show from last month. Kazuna Tanaka, she's terrific. Obviously, her and Victoria Zuki as a tag team, second to none in this company. Rea Seto is somebody that has built herself up, through the dojo, through hard work, to somebody that belongs in these main events. So you have all these moving parts. You're expecting a banger, and it was. I had 3 3/4 stars, but less than 10 minutes in a main event with 6 wrestlers. You're basically looking at a minute and change for each wrestler to kind of go and do what they needed to do. I get 15, 16 minutes. I think this match needed to really flush out and be next level like we thought it could be. But regardless, we got some Miko Ano versus Kazuna Tanaka stuff, which was great. We got some Natsumi versus Victoria Yuzuki stuff, which I thought was terrific. Chika Goto and Kazuna Tanaka were terrific. Again, you got Celine Flora up in the ring with Miko Ano and Natsumi Shozuki, 2 of my favorite tag teams in this company. Rea Seto looked like an absolute star. But ultimately, though, was Miko Ano getting the win with the buzzsaw kick to poor Rea Seto. 3 3/4 stars. But again, buddy, I'm with you. If they would have given this, again, it's a main event. If they would have given this 14, 15 minutes, this would have broken the 4-star mark for me easily, just because of the talent that is in the ring. But they did the most they could with the time that they were allowed.
It was a really svelte show as well, this 29th show from the Yokohama Radiant Hall, clocking in just under an hour and a half this show. So really did fly by. So I don't know if there were time constraints or something that meant this main event couldn't go longer. I don't know, but it had the premise to be really, really good, and I just wanted it to go that little bit further. But that being said, we move on to our next show, which of course is night 5 of the Rising Spirit Tour. We're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting there. Saturday, the 3rd of May, 2025, from Act City, Hamamatsu in Shizuoka. And this drew 265 people Saturday, the 3rd of May. It's the 3rd time that Marigold have run the venue, with it being a 14.22% increase on the last house they drew there, which was 232 way back on the 13th of October 2024 as a part of the Fantastic Adventure Tour. As a comparison, the show outdrew the Dragon Gate show, the Gate of Passion 2025, that ran at the beginning of April by 3 people. But it is a victory nonetheless. Moving on to the actual results itself, we started with a tag team match. Hummingbird and Ryoko Sakimura defeating Nagisa Takibana and Riara with the leg roll clutch in 6 minutes and 18. Hummingbird rolling up Riara. In a tag team match that followed, Miko Ano and Kazuna Tanaka, again, teaming together, looking good, defeating Chika Goto and Komomo Minami. Miko Ano pinning Komomo Minami with the buzzsaw kick in 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Another tag team match, the Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Chiaki defeated Natsumi Shozuki and Mai Sakurai with the Misa Kawai driver in 10 minutes and 42 seconds. In a tag team match, the Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki team defeated Mirai and Minami Yuki. Victoria Yuzuki pinning Minami Yuki with the rolling arrow in 11 minutes and 21 seconds. And then in your main event, 6-woman tag team action, Nanae Takahashi, Seri Yamaoka, and main event Rea Seto defeated Darkness Revolution, Nagisa Nozaki, Megaton, and Gigaton. Nanae blasting through Megaton with a sliding D in 20 minutes and 18 seconds. Matt, we open and it's like Groundhog Day. Hummingbird doing what Hummingbird does, and Riara, unfortunately, doing what Riara does.
Yeah, Hummingbird getting the win here again. If I was booking this, I would have flipped it. I would have put Nagisa and Ryoko on the same team because they're terrific together, and Hummingbird and Riara. I think that would have been a fun little combination. But regardless, it's like the match started, and you see the way that it's building, and like, oh, poor Riara is going to get the win, and Hummingbird is going to pick up the win. So I know that we made. I think you asked me last week who has the most wins in Marigold's history, and it was Sakurai. If this keeps up, it might be Hummingbird, buddy.
Yeah,
It might be
absolutely might
Hummingbird.
be.
She is on a roll, which makes me think she may be getting a title shot sometime probably in the summer months. This was a solid match. Again, Riara, she looks really good here, even in a loss. And the rookies, they're overperforming considering the fact they've only been wrestling for about a year. But this was really all just about getting Hummingbird another win here. 3.25 stars. Really solid match to get the crowd warmed up for this show.
We move on then to the team of Miko Ano and Kazuna Tanaka versus Chika Goto and Komomo Minami. And Matt, it's more great stuff from Miko Ano and Kazuna Tanaka. And another, I imagine, reason as to why you want to see them as a more regular team.
Yeah, they were terrific. Chika Goto, as always, she brings the fire. And again, Komomo Minami is somebody that we're so glad to see back from injury. And she is not, she's basically making up for lost time because she was great. She really threw herself into the fire. That is the strikes and submissions of Miko Ano and Kazuna Tanaka. But again, Chika Goto, it's great fire. She does a great job as one of these taller wrestlers on the roster, taking a beating, but knowing when to fire up and how much to fire up because there's levels to it. And she's understanding that really early on into her career. My guess is she's probably being, as far as like how much to fire up and when to fire up at certain levels, that's like a Nanae Takahashi, like psychology thing 101. So my guess she's being mentored from her because she's learning that way and it's really working out for her character. This was a phenomenal match. Usually with these Marigold shows, like the first few matches, they're good. Like, don't get me wrong, they're good. They're just to warm up the crowd. You don't really get to see that really solid, excellent, hard-hitting wrestling that I grew up on and that I love until like your third match or semi-main event or main event, where it was just like, no, this was one of my favorite matches of this show. One of my favorite matches of these 84 shows that we're reviewing, my friend. Again, terrific outing, great fire from Chika Goto, Komomo Minami, terrific. Kazuna Tanaka, Miko Ano. That might be the team for me, my friend. That might be the team for me. 3 3/4 stars. Really, really solid stuff.
Next, we saw Darkness Revolution getting the win over Mai Sakurai and Natsumi Shozuki. Misa Matsui pinning Natsumi Shozuki, which is a big thing in their rivalry with the Misa Kawai driver. But that only tells half the story, of course, with Natsumi Shozuki being absolutely blasted with a chair shot before Misa Matsui gets the victory. Again, another really solid tag team match. And again, the little bits of interaction that we got between Mai Sakurai and Misa Matsui fed the excitement for this title match. But there's a really heated rivalry that Marigold repeatedly keep coming back to with Natsumi Shozuki and Misa Matsui. And that hatred that Natsumi Shozuki has for Misa Matsui really does bring the heat to this matchup, Matt.
I don't want to alarm anybody, but my phone's going off like crazy. We are having a tornado warning in my hometown. So I am going to keep going. Yes, so I'm getting all sorts of text messages from my wife and Andy Header, making sure we're okay. So I'm going to keep rolling here. But if I run to the hills, folks, you know why. Yes, apologize. I don't like to be on my phone when I'm podcasting, but
I mean, we can finish this off at another time if you're going to go full like Wizard of Oz.
I think we're okay. Once my phone starts beeping, that's when I know it's close. But regardless, folks,
okay,
we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. So yes, what I would like to see if they're gonna keep this Sakurai United National Championship run going, and it looks like that it's having legs to have a long run. Mm-hmm. I like to see Chiaki get a championship match because their interactions were fantastic. There's really, really good hard hitting stuff. Again, Misa Matsui, we know she's got great chemistry with the Natsumi Shozuki. That was one of the early feuds that they had. I think we're okay. Sorry, I just got text from my wife saying I think that we're okay. This match is again all about building up Misa Matsui and Mai Sakurai for their big championship match. That again we will get to at the end of this show, which is the next show we're going to be talking about. But Misa and Natsumi Shozuki, anytime they want to go there, buddy, anytime they want to go there, they have excellent chemistry together. I mean, just really fantastic, hard-hitting, next-level stuff. And again, I like Misa Matsui. She's so good for so many reasons, and she's got more than one finish. Obviously, we know the European clutch We mentioned that devastating knee strike. Sorry, I dropped my towel. That wasn't the tornado. We got the devastating knee strike, but that Misa Kawai driver, that's like her ultimate super finish that we don't see her use that much. But when she hits it, it's a thing of beauty. It really is. Solid match. I actually have it as I pick up my tablet here, folks. 3.5 stars. Again, this was just really just building Misa and Mai Sakurai up towards their match from Korakuen Hall, which was fantastic.
Moving on then to your semi-main event, Utami, Victoria Yuzuki, Mirai, Minami, Yuki. And again, Minami Yuki in these positions really does do well. I feel like Minami Yuki is someone who can be put into these situations and does continue to develop really well, especially in her exchanges with Victoria Yuzuki. I think she did well sort of fighting from underneath against the likes of Utami, but I thought her exchanges, Matt, with Victoria Yuzuki was where she thrived here.
Yeah, again, to the shock of nobody, Utami and Victoria Yuzuki, that's the formula on this week. They made, I know this was called the Rising Spirit Tour, should have been the Utami versus Yuzuki and Mirai crushing people tour, because that's really, all these shows are really good, but that's what it was really built around. And again, you're using these shows to get to your big championship match. At the same time, you're building up Victoria Yuzuki. Not only that, but you're also building up that if they ever want to pull the trigger on a long championship tag run with Utami and Yuzuki, they can do that. We've seen Rossi has no problem double belting or triple belting people up. He's done it in the past, and it would make sense if you were to put Utami and Yuzuki, even if they're still their respective champions coming out of the big pay-per-view at the end of this month. They had no problem with that, because who wouldn't want to see them defend those belts and have championship matches and singles matches, because they're two of the best in this company. Again, more Mirai and Utami. And it's just, they don't hold back. It's not like, let's just give them sprinkle stuff. Like, no, they're going full tilt to make sure that people are going to remember this red belt match. And this very well can be, in the short history of that championship belt, the best red belt match we have seen in Marigold. And again, you're putting Minami Yuki in this match, and you know ultimately that it's going to be her demise. You know that she's going to eat the pinfall in this match, but they do a great job, Utami, Yuzuki, and Mirai, giving her spots in this match that mean something to make her look really good. And again, we talk about the future aces and the future of this company. We got a lot of great main eventers. Again, now that we have Mayu in as well, I mean, you have your stock in Mirai, Mayu, Utami, Sakurai, Miko Ano, but that middle of the bottom of the card is looking really good as well. You know, Minami Yuki's leading that charge. Again, really solid stuff here with getting Victoria Yuzuki another win here. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Moving on to our main event. And main event, Rea Seto is on the winning team. Although there is something therapeutic about watching Nanae Takahashi absolutely obliterate Megaton with that sliding D. Matt, contrary to the main event of the previous show, I actually thought that this one went a little bit too long, which I didn't think would be a thing. Nagisa Nozaki's fantastic. But yes, 20 minutes, I think, is a long time for a match that includes two relatively gimmicky wrestlers in Megaton and Gigaton, especially Megaton, because as we spoke about earlier on the show, Gigaton can turn it on when prompted, but I feel like Megaton is lacking somewhat in ring, even though she has improved. 20 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, not only that, but you have your two comedic characters, and then you have Rea Seto and Seri Yamaoka. As great as they are, 20 minutes when they're not across from the ring from, wrestlers. Again, we see Nanae, Seri Yamaoka. They've had great matches as the tag champions in the long matches, like Sanka and Takumi are. And that was great. Like, you're across the ring from great wrestlers. Again, Megaton is a fun character. Again, Gigaton may or may not be Naoya Ishikawa. If it is, Naoya Ishikawa is a phenomenal wrestler. And Nagisa Nozaki is really good. But you're absolutely right. 20 minutes, I felt this drug on, especially for the main event. Like, out of all the matches you could have put on the main event, like, you couldn't have put I would have totally flopped. I would have switched and put the Utami Mirai tag match on last, because that was the best match from the show. It did go on a little bit too long. You're absolutely right. I would have shaved 5 minutes off this match or 10 minutes off this match and given it to the main event from the night before. Just a little bit too long in the tooth for me. 3 1/4 stars. But again, main event Rea Seto.
Main event Rea Seto, indeed. And can't complain about that. I think she's done tremendously well and continues to improve. And with that being said, Mr. Matt Turner, we are going to Korakuen Hall. Of course, rather a big show for a number of reasons, but none bigger, of course, than the debut of the icon of Joshi, Puroresu, Mayu Iwatani. It was confirmed on May 1st that she would be signing with Marigold in the worst kept secret possibly in the history of wrestling, despite Meltzer reporting that she was going to WWE, or there was interest from WWE. But yes,
She's
of
still
course.
going. As the daughter of Kane,
of
as the daughter of Kane, yes.
Of course, the big red Mayu.
If you're not watching there on YouTube, I just took a swig of water and almost went all over my microphone.
But we are back in Korakuen Hall, second show in 2 weeks in Korakuen Hall. And Marigold have done a huge number. So this was, of course, Sunday, the 4th of May. And the announced attendance inside Korakuen Hall was 1,210, as well as being an incredible 75.63% increase on the previous Marigold Korakuen Hall show, which was 690, as we mentioned earlier. This makes it the third highest Korakuen attendance in the company's history, only the third to surpass the 1,000 mark. And it is the highest attendance at the venue for Marigold since the 1,450 drawn to Julia's Arrivederci show on the 19th of August, 2024. So really, truly a huge number for Marigold. And obviously a huge amount of those tickets were boosted when Mayu Iwatani was announced. A couple of other things just to point out about this show, though, because even though Mayu is the main attraction, it is the last time that Nanae Takahashi will wrestle inside Korakuen Hall, having wrestled 304 times over the course of her career. As we mentioned, it's the first time since the 10th of June 2012 that Mayu and Nanae have met in singles action. And rather lost in the shuffle, unfortunately, is the 5th anniversary of Naoya Ishikawa's debut, which we did mention on the previous episode of the Marigold Standard. She debuted against Suzu Suzuki in Ice Ribbon. So there you go. In terms of the results, they are as follows. We open with a 6-woman tag team match. Hummingbird, Komomo Minami, and Rea Seto defeated Minami Yuki, Ryoko Sakimura, and Nagisa Takibana. Komomo Minami gained the win over Nagisa Takibana. It must be that new gear with the Fisherman's Neck Breaker in 7 minutes and 29 seconds. The 3-way match, Naoya Ishikawa gained the win on her 5th anniversary, which made me very happy, defeating Arina Yamanaka and Riara, now pinning Riara with the NAO in 7 minutes and 9 seconds. In a 6-woman tag match, Natsumi Shozuki, Chika Goto, and Chan Yota defeated the Darkness Revolution team of Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Megaton. Chika Goto submitting Megaton with the Grand Cobra Twist in 9 minutes and 31 seconds. Megaton living up to her gimmick and tapping immediately. I don't even think Chikagoto got it in properly when Megaton tapped. So that really made me laugh. In a singles match, Miku Aono, I apologize, defeated Kazuna Tanaka with the Styles Clash in 11 minutes and 52 seconds. Third from the top, Marigold United National Championship match. Mai Sakurai, the champion, getting her 4th successful title defense by defeating Misa Matsui with a brand new submission that she has named Romane Con Titan in 16 minutes and 42 seconds. In your semi-main tag team match, Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki defeated Mirai and Seri Yamaoka. Utami Hayashishita pinning Mirai with the hijack bomb in 15 minutes and 55 seconds. And then, of course, your main event, the Passion Countdown match, Mayu Iwatani defeating Nanae Takahashi with a Frankensteiner in 26 minutes and 19 seconds. Matt, we're going to go straight into the reviews, and we're going to start with our undercard 6-woman tag. Komomo Minami, the real peach, and she has brand new gear, and she looks fantastic.
These ladies did a great job. I didn't know how long those last few matches were. Those matches had time to tell their story, and rightfully so. So your first few matches are going to get a shorter amount of time, and rightfully so. You want to put everything into, obviously the Mayu match, and obviously Mirai versus Utami, your championship match, and then Miko Ano versus Kazuna Tanaka. Like those are the matches that are going to flesh out their story. So like these wrestlers, when they probably got to the building, it's we had 7 to 8 minutes, 6 of us. Let's crush it. And what a great way to start off this show. Again, over 1,000 people in Korakuen Hall, as you said, partner. Only the third time they've drawn over 1,000 people in the 3-year history. Again, 75% increase. Amazing. These ladies knew what their assignment was, and they knocked it out of the park. There wasn't one moment that was wasted. You're absolutely right. With Komomo Minami, new looked fantastic, looked like $1,000,000. Great way to start the show, getting her a win with that new look. It looks like it's going to be only onward and upward for her. And I liked the Golden Gate swing neckbreaker for the finish. Solid stuff. Again, this was bing, bang, boom. Everybody got what they needed to do. Got the crowd hot. Got them warmed up for the rest of this show. 3.5 stars for me, my friend.
Moving on then to a 3-way. Now Ishikawa defeating Arina Yamanaka and Riara. Now, this is where all of my support is being thrown behind Riara, because Sonny Gutierrez talked to us a little bit about Riara's backstory and what sort of things she what she gave up to become a pro wrestler, because it turns out her parents completely disowned her for becoming a pro wrestler. And the show immediately following this would be Riara's homecoming show, and she was teaming with Utami, so the 5th of May, which has happened at this point of recording, but obviously hasn't dropped on Wrestle Universe yet. And apparently she had set seats aside for her parents, but didn't know if her parents were going to show up. And that was devastating. I was, oh my God. Like, I want Riara to win everything. I want her to be the embodiment of that famous Ultimo Dragon picture and just holding all of the belts, because to give that up and to sort of give up that relationship with your family to pursue your passion, I have utmost respect for you. Absolute respect for you.
It's heartbreaking because I grew up and obviously still have the best parents in the world and the biggest, and I married into the greatest parents as well, with my mother-in-law's an absolute saint, and my father-in-law, who passed away 5 years ago, was and will always will be the biggest Matt Turner fan and my biggest supporter. And when you hear that, it's heartbreaking. It's just like, you should always support, not unless your kid's going to be, like something that, gangster. Other than that, like, you should always support your kids no matter what they do. And it's just, you're absolutely right. You want her to achieve everything. You really, really do. Now to kind of turn off the serious side, let's make this a little. It is heartbreaking, and again, we want Riara to win everything. Rob Goodwin, let's have a little fun here, my friend. Obviously, just me and you are both Mayu fans, and everyone's like, well, they had a 75% increase because of Mayu's debut. I'm going to disagree. It's because of the return of now Ishikawa. Let's call it like we see it, my friend. Let's call it like we see it. It was so great to see. And I think even Sonny said, now Ishikawa, where have you been? Tongue in cheek. I thought that was so funny. Obviously, massive reaction. Arena was great here. Again, she kind of got thrusted right into the white belt picture right off the bat. And I thought that was kind of unfair to her and One May Sakurai. And we'll get into the head scratching of Sakurai's next challenger in a little bit. But she came in with a lot of fanfare, had a solid match with Sakurai. She was great here. Like, she jumped off Riara's back and did a Shining Wizard off on Naoya Ishikawa. And it reminded me of, I believe it was the 2001 or 2002 G1 finals with Muto versus Nagata, where Muto does a Shining Wizard off the ref's back into Nagata. I was I thought that was great. I thought that was terrific. Again, a solid match. Riara is somebody that is over. Now Ishikawa is insanely over in Korakuen Hall. And Arina Yamanaka is another one I would like to see on every single show, because she's going to get better with reps with this fantastic roster. She really showed out here. She really did. Ultimately, it was now Ishikawa getting the win here, my friend, with that modified spine buster. I had this at 3.25 stars.
We move on then to the 6-woman tag match that saw Natsumi Shizuki, Chika Goto, and Chan Yota go over the Darkness Revolution. As we mentioned, Chika Goto's devastating submission finisher, forcing Megaton to tap immediately, possibly before Chika Goto even had the move locked on. But a thoroughly enjoyable match, as we would expect, Matt.
Yeah, again, this was solid enough stuff. You had the Megaton comedy stuff. Natsumi, she was terrific here. Again, the Gisa and Chiaki, they're great as individuals. They're great as a team. They do a great job, and they're doing a great job bending the rules and breaking the rules, not in front of the referee. That was one of my early complaints with Marigold, is like they're doing all this cheating right in front of the ref. Obviously, they've done a lot better there. Great seeing Chan Yota. Again, she's another added addition to this roster we've been seeing on more and more shows. Who doesn't want to see Chan Yota versus Jungle Kyona, Rob? I'm going to fantasy book that right now. Who does not want to see that match? This match will be remembered for Chika Goto picking up a big, much-needed win with a new submission hold. And we've always said Chika Goto is constantly getting better, especially since the beginning of this year. But she needs like a solid enough finisher. And that like Inoki style Cobra twist with the elbow into the hip and the way she stared at like the crowd and stared at the hard cam. And I'm like, I'm terrified of Chika Goto. And that's
it's that intensity. That's what we've been lacking. That's what we've been missing.
Yes, absolutely. And the fact that Megaton tapped out as fast as she did is part of her gimmick. But at the same time, I'm all for it because I buy it because she's tall and now she looks intense. And the way that finish was, again, this show's gonna be remembered for a lot of things. Now, I don't think many people are, no disrespect to these 6 ladies. They worked hard, 3.25 stars, solid enough match. But when I think about this match going back, it's gonna be remembered for the finish and the debut of Chika Goto's new finisher, a submission finisher in this fantastic Joshi company. And I think this is a massive step in the right direction for Chika Goto, who may or may not have a big match coming up, my friend, at the end of the month.
Well, it's funny you should say that because after submitting Megaton, Chika Goto turned to Koki Amore, who was on Japanese commentary, and said she wanted to face her again in Yoyogi on May the 24th. Koki took to the microphone and agreed, confirming that she will, in fact, return to the ring at Shine Forever, which in terms of a recovery timetable, that's truly phenomenal to have torn her ACL and to be back in 5 months, because obviously she tore it 3rd of January, is honestly quite impressive. I just hope that she is completely 100% fit and ready and happy. She did make a joke that she was graduating from Japanese commentary, which I thought was quite funny. It's not yet confirmed whether Chika and Koki will face each other in a singles match, or if they'll team together in a tag capacity, or if they'll be against each other in a tag capacity. All we know is that when Koki returns on the 24th of May, which we've really missed Koki Amore, we really have. That injury, it's never a good time to get injured, but talk about a terrible time to get injured. She's just become the GHC Women's Champion. She's getting this almighty push as, one of the future stars of Marigold, and then she gets this devastating injury. So it's going to be really good to welcome her back. We just know that Chika Goto is going to be involved. And I think it's right because we need to pick up where these two left off at First Stream.
Yeah, and congratulations on Koki Amore for graduating from commentary.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, you're exactly right. She did make mention she wanted to come back at this Passion Forever show. 5 months to come back from that injury. But I think that they planted the seeds here. They knew it was going to be a massive show. A lot of eyes on this show, obviously, because of Mayu and now Ishikawa's return. I will stand on that hill. But a lot of eyes, not only in Korakuen Hall, but watching around the world. And I know it's a big show when Andy Header is watching the main event live. Literally text me as I was walking into church. And I was like, I will not get to this. Partner, Sundays are just nuts for me. I said, I won't get to the show until Monday. But a lot of eyes were on the show, and they would not have planted those seeds for the big pay-per-view coming up at the end of this month if they didn't think Koki Amore was fit. Obviously, nothing's official, but my guess is that it looks like it's probably going to be a go, Chika. See what I did there? I may be looking at a tornado over here, folks, but I'm still damn funny.
How are we doing? Are we Wizard of Ozing?
I think we're okay, because what had happened is Amber and Andy Header kept sending me text messages, and I didn't know that Amber was doing something with church, and she said she drove by a tornado and then turned around, but then I think she went back, and then she did make it a point to let me know the most important part of that text message is what my dinner was ready for when I'm done. I'm like, I don't care about that. Are you okay? That's my wife for you. Just thinks about everybody but herself. And I was like, I asked her, I was like, I am still podcasting. Do I need to stop podcasting and go downstairs? I haven't heard anything, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but I think I'm okay, folks. So we will forge on. We will forge. Go ahead, buddy. You're going to say something. I see your face there.
Is Pennsylvania known for its tornadoes?
Here and there, usually not because there's a lot of trees, but where I'm at, as you know, Rob, you've been to my house, there's a lot of farming. So usually because of the trees in the hills, any big wind, it stops. But because of how many farms there are, there's nothing to stop the wind. Again, I've lived 30 years in the Scranton area, and I think I lost power once. I've been here 13 years, and I think I've lost power 15 times. It's more than once a year that we lose. It's almost like it's something like, oh, yeah, of course we lose power. It happens quite often because of there's nowhere for the wind to go when I was in the Scranton area because of the trees in the hills. Where here it's mostly farmland. So anytime we get wind, it's the tornado stuff. It's comes in. We get those warnings quite a bit. But yeah, when I saw my phone was blowing up quite crazy, I was like, well, let me see what's going on there. I'm like, oh, okay. So I think I'm okay. But my friend, I guess speaking of okay, this next match was better than okay. See the segue there?
I mean, the card up to this point was solid, but this really was where the show took off. Miko Ano, Kazuna Tanaka. Kazuna Tanaka was riding a wave. Like we know that Kazuna Tanaka is phenomenal and is one of the many future components of this company that you can build around alongside Victoria Yuzuki, alongside Seri Yamaoka, alongside someone else that we're going to be talking about very shortly. But coming off the back of that main event of the last Korakuen Hall show where her and Chika Goto really were the standouts, it was going to be interesting to see what she did against Miko Ano, and what we got was a blistering sub 12-minute match. And Miko Ano is another one who, if you remember at the start of the year, was going through something of a slump because of her loss of the white belt, couldn't buy a win. And now we're slowly but surely not only building her up, and we obviously now know why, but building her up and making her seem so just like a killer. And I love this version of Miko Ano because this sort of stoic killer guys is something that suits her down to the ground. And against someone who is such an endearing babyface like Kazuna Tanaka, whose fire plays well against the stoicism of Miko Ano, this was magical. I absolutely loved this match.
I thought right around 12 minutes was the perfect time to tell their story.
Agreed.
And then I think you'll see in a year, 2 years when they're wrestling for the United National Championship or their red belt, you'll see like that 15 to 20-minute match. Because again, Kazuna Tanaka has only been wrestling a little over a year, and she missed some time with that back injury, and her back was taped up really, really heavily in this match. I'm still a little worried for her. Obviously, I'm a massive fan of Kazuna Tanaka, but I knew this match was going to be good for a lot of reasons, Rob, and then we get the big lockup. We get the big lockup.
Love that.
Love it. And I like how like Kazuna Tanaka is, because she's young, so she wants to fire off those strikes. Miko Ano, even though she's probably the hardest striker in this company, she doesn't let Kazuna Tanaka get into that striking mode early on. She grinds her down with the headlock. She uses her experience with a simple headlock, and I really like that. And you can see Kazuna Tanaka is getting frustrated. And you can see the crowd is like, we know it's coming. We know these strikes are coming, but we're not going to give it to you just yet. We're going to make you wait. We're going to build to it. And they literally, the crowd psychology of Miko Ano, who was probably calling when to throw those strikes, is genius because they made them wait. And once they got to the crowd right to where they wanted them, the forearms came, the kicks came, and then the low kick trade-off was genius because they're going back and forth. And I don't know if it was selling or it was legit or half them column A, half them column B, but the crumbling of Kazuna Tanaka on one part was like, oh, geez. She just came back from injury from the back. Now it might be her hamstring because Miko Ano was not holding anything back. But to Miko Ano's credit, she made sure Kazuna Tanaka looked like she belonged in one of these marquee matches because she sold and she put over Kazuna Tanaka's really great offense. She hit the redream. which I think, because I didn't know who won this match. Again, I didn't watch until the next day, but she hits the redream, and I'm like, that might be the finish. And they did a great job kicking out like 2.999. The referee did a great job holding that last fall, very Daichi style, on holding that to that, almost kicking out or almost hitting the slap of the mat at the 3 count. The crowd really bit into it, and then Miko Ano makes her comeback, which is violent, right up my alley, hits the Styles Clash. This was a match that is, again, I love all aspects of wrestling. This is my style match, the hard hitting, the submissions, the back and forth, the let's just see who's better. I'm all about that. Like, you want to put a story together, like Sai and Tam, phenomenal. I mean, just what a great story. But at the end of the day, I like to some matches where it's just, let's just see who's better. And that's what it was. And Miko Ano on this day was better. But boy, howdy, was a lot of times I thought Kazuna Tanaka was going to pick up the win here, which is just a credit to how great these wrestlers are and these athletes are. Again, there's something there between the two of them. Whether they do this across from the ring or in the same turnbuckle, I am all for it. I cannot wait to see it. 4.25 stars for me, my friend.
Moving on then to your United National Championship match. Mai Sakurai, 121 days as champion, 4th successful title defense, which makes her the most winningest of all untitled champions. I say all untitled champions. Of course, there's only been 2, but she is the winningest of those 2, defeating Misa Matsui in what was a tremendous match. A couple of interesting things going into this, of course. Misa Matsui pointing out that of those 3 defenses she had prior, Mai Sakurai never defended against a full-time member of the Marigold roster, which I thought was an interesting little stat. But also, the Mai Sakurai told Misa to leave Darkness Revolution. Backstage, sure enough, Misa comes out. Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, not only next to her and flanking her, but then got involved in the match as well, which we knew they would. But that aside, I thought this was brilliant. This was Mai Sakurai's best title defense, and that's nothing against the other matches. I thought her match with Chanyota was great. I thought her match with Nagisa Nozaki was really good, and I thought her match with Arina Yamanaka surpassed expectations. But this was phenomenal. This right here is why I want Misa Matsui in this upper echelon, because she proved here that she belongs in the conversation of the upper echelon of Marigold. She's one of the many success stories about this company. But most importantly, we said, right, the company can't just rely on the Stardom wrestlers or the former Stardom wrestlers, Urutami's, Mirai, Victoria Yuzuki, and Mai Sakurai. You've got to have some of the actress girls standing up and being counted. We thought Koki Amori would be one. She went out injured. We thought Miko Ano would be one, and she was until she dropped the white belt, and now it seems we're building her back up again. But Misa Matsui is someone who really has taken that ball and is running with it, because this was fantastic, Matt, and a great new finisher as well from Mai Sakurai.
Yeah, and a great way to debut it. Again, you're basically taking the STF, which they have built up phenomenally, and the commentating saying it's been taught to her by Masa Chono, and I'm almost positive Chono was in the crowd for one of these Korakuen shows. So it's just like there's akin to, the guy, again, the inventor of this move, as far as I know, is Luthez. Luthez taught it to Chono. Chono taught it to Sakurai. So I'm sure somebody like Farmer Burns in the 1800s probably invented it, but it's Lou freaking Thez, for crying out loud. They taught it to Chono. Chono taught it to Sakurai. So again, pretty good lineage on that move. And now she has a modification on it, and which I thought was great. You're doing something different with it. You're right. This was a phenomenal United National Championship match. Probably the best one since First Dream with Sakurai and Miko Ano, which is probably my favorite.
Agreed.
Yeah. In the less than a year history of this championship belt, it's probably my favorite. This one was just a little bit below it. I had this at 4.25 stars. This match, my second favorite match of this show. And again, this was another one. We weren't sure which way it was going to go, because about 6-7 weeks ago, when we saw this heel turn and this rocket like extend to the top of the card for Misa Matsui, we were like, Misa Matsui's hot right now. They need to give her a white belt match, and maybe she wins said championship. So I didn't know which way this was going to go going in, because sometimes you're like, okay, like this person may or may not win. There's upsets happen from time to time where you're like, you're pretty sure who's going to win your championship match. This one I wasn't sure, and then how it built towards the finish, it really had me on the edge of my seat. Again, I made mention how, about an hour and change ago, how back in the Stardom days, I wouldn't want to see Mai Sakurai go past 10 minutes in a singles match. I love seeing these long Mai Sakurai matches because she is phenomenal at them. Again, one of my favorite wrestlers to watch, not just in Joshi, not just in Marigold, but in wrestling in general. When I see these big Sakurai championship matches, I know I'm going to be in for a treat because she's a phenomenal storyteller. And she took Misa Matsui to Matsui's probably her best match, which is because she's had great matches before. I think this is Misa's best singles match. I would like to see this one run back because as great as this match was, I think they have a better match in them. Terrific match. You know, one of the most important things about this match, Rob, the return of the Goodwin elbow drop, my friend. And I'm still waiting. I am still waiting on English commentary for them to say it because they know what it is. And I literally turned up, and I told you this. I watched the second half of the show on my couch on my iPad, and as my wife was next to me, we were talking, and as she's going to the top rope, I put it at full volume. And I'm like, I just need to know, are they going to call it? And I'm hoping it's going to happen.
One day.
One day we'll get it. We're in my head. I still think it is. I like how Misa Matsui has gone to the Izumi playbook in the best way possible, doing the Trio double stomp and then floating that into a top rope double stomp. And it makes sense. It fits her character, it fits her style. I'm all for it. I hope she keeps doing it because those are two devastating moves back to back that really had Sakurai towards the end of this match on the back foot. And again, Misa Matsui, we've seen her win matches with the European clutch, teased. Seen her win matches with that flying knee, teased. Seen her win matches with the Misa Kawai driver, teased here but not hit. So it's just like almost the fact that she had to put those three finishers together to almost win the white belt, but not enough. We did see a lot of Sakurai resiliency in this match, which I love and just adds to her storytelling and just the fantastic wrestler that she is. But ultimately, she puts her away with that modified STF, which she calls, what's the name of the whole vow? I know you said it. What's the name of her new finisher?
So I just want to thank Pep on Twitter for pointing this out. So she's named it Ramane Con Titan, and it's an apparent shout out to CMLL's Titan, who debuted a similar move very, very recently. And if you go on our show notes, I've linked it to Pep's tweet. But he's put a side by side of Titan doing the move and Mai Sakurai. So it's a bit of a shout out. So it's Ramane Con Titan.
Oh, well, there you go. Again, solid match. Again, this was a solid card, but these last four matches is like, wow. Like just must-see after must-see after must-see to the main event where it's like, stop what you're doing and watch this match. Mm-hmm. Again, another great match for Sakurai. I think this is one she needed in the chamber. She needed that next level United National Championship match. Like my only thing is, Rob, and let's get into it. I'm scratching my head over her next challenger.
Now,
Ishikawa, which I was.
Now then, I don't think this is a challenge.
Oh, okay.
And I'll explain why. So obviously after this, Shino Omukai came out. Now, if you remember, Shino Omukai initially introduced herself to the Marigold fans alongside her mother at Summer Destiny back in July 2024. Now, for those who don't know, her mother is Michiko Omukai, who was a part of Rossi's previous company, Arcean. She is a former Queen of Arcean champion. She's also a three-time Twin Stars of Arcean champion as well. So comes from a good lineage. She's 15. And we saw her at Summer Destiny, and basically we haven't seen her since because she's been training. She's going to be making her debut at Shine Forever, and she asked Mai Sakurai if she can debut against her. Mai Sakurai accepted. Now, I don't think it's for the belt. The belt was never mentioned. I think it is just a singles match, in which case, very, very excited. Now, Mai Sakurai, again, has pointed out she is a super rookie. So there is a lot of expectation on her when she debuts. Again, she's 15. She's going to be 16 when she debuts. So she's going to be really, really young. And I love the fact that Marigold are really looking at that youth. Okay, you've got Kasuna Tanaka, Victoria Yuzuki. You've now got Shino Omukai. You've got Seri Yamaoka, Victoria. I don't know if I mentioned Victoria Yuzuki. You've got Utami, who's not old. You've got Mirai, who's not old. Misa Matsui, who's not old. You've got a lot of these wrestlers who you are building through, who really are going to be be the future of this company. Another reason that I've pointed out that I don't think Shinya Wamakai is a challenger for the United National Championship is because of the backstage comments. Chika Goto put herself forward as a challenger for the pure white belt. So that looks like where we might be going somewhere in the near future. Now, obviously, that's not going to be at Shine Forever. However, that could be on a show anywhere in the interim. We've got 3 weeks. Even afterwards, we don't need another challenge between now and Shine Forever. What I'm really interested in is now that Mai Sakurai has beaten Misa Matsui, who we both assumed was going to be the next champion, or we both would have liked to have been the next champion. Who do you have Mai Sakurai drop the belt to? Now, obviously, you know, it's wrestling. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, there might be an angle in a couple of weeks' time where Marigold catch lightning in a bottle and it makes sense for her to drop it to a Kazuna Tanaka, for example. But if you had the pen, who would you have Mai Sakurai drop it to? And more importantly, how long would you have Mai Sakurai keep it? Because at the moment, I am more than happy with Mai Sakurai holding this belt because she's putting on bangers with it.
I'd have her drop it right before the Dream Star. This way you can make it look like she's a legit challenger to win the Dream Star and build her up. You can use that tournament to bring her back. Again, she made it to the finals of the first one last year. I'd have her drop it to Misa Matsui. I would have her drop it to Misa Matsui or build up Naoya Ishikawa. You can build up Naoya Ishikawa because that's where, again, I thought, and again, I must have misread the. I know there was a challenge, and I thought it was for the United National Championships. And I was like, you're literally getting somebody out of the dojo that's getting a title shot before Naoya Ishikawa, before you're doing the Miko Ano rematch, before you're doing Natsumi Shozuki getting another crack at this belt. That's why I was kind of scratching my head, and I didn't know. But if that's just a straight up singles match, what a great way for the youngster to learn against, you know, one of the best wrestlers on this roster. You know, you have your champion here, and again, one of the most improved wrestlers over the last year and change in all of wrestling, one Mai Sakurai. Considering the fact that she's 15, 16 years old, that room right over here, Rob, is my bedroom. I have ties older than this that wrestler, that the youngster. So that again, you're looking at this roster just loading up, and then we're throwing in the girls from Marvelous. The fact that we may be getting an Io, we're going to be getting an Io, a Kyrie, maybe a Julia coming up because of the relationship with WWE. And now you're throwing in more super rookies that are only going to constantly get better. Because, I mean, look what Rea Seto has done over the last 6 or 7 months. Look what Nagisa's done, you know, since she's been back. Look what Ryoko Satomura's done in the only handful of months that she's been wrestling. And now you're adding in a Mayu and a Jungle Kyona to help teach these wrestlers as well. This is going to be an insane roster, a dangerous roster in the best way possible. And I'm really looking forward to it, my friend.
So we move on then to the semi-main event, which was another preview tag for that Marigold World Championship match at Shine Forever. Utami Hayashishita, Victoria Yuzuki, Mirai, and Seri Yamaoka. And we talked, Matt, we talked a lot about those lariats that Mirai was throwing at the last Korakuen Hall show. And to say that Utami had some receipts in this match would be a little bit of an understatement. But what I loved is that Victoria Yuzuki and Seri Yamaoka were background players in the best way possible because they were utilized to help Utami and Mirai keep fighting. So whenever Seri Yamaoka looked like she was going to break something up, Victoria Yuzuki would get involved. Whenever Victoria Yuzuki looked like she was going to get involved, Seri Yamaoka was there to stop her, just so that we could let Utami and Mirai breathe. And good God, when they breathed so well because their interactions were fantastic. And Matt Turner, I legitimately think we are going to have ringside ambulances because if they hit each other any harder, one of their heads are going to go sailing into the front row.
I think they kind of have to. You know what I mean? It's just like if they're doing this in the preview tags.
It's the next logical step.
Yeah, I'm going to quote one of my favorite movies that I haven't seen in a long time that I need to go back and watch. This is Spinal Tap. They're hitting each other at like a 10. They have to hit each other in 11, right?
Absolutely.
You know, just turn it louder. It just goes to 11. They kind of have to because that's the end game, right? That is your big championship match is the singles match. You're right. Victoria Yuzuki and Seri Yamaoka, they have completely different styles, but they really mesh really well together. And I loved how, and again, the Yuzuki Utami tag team unbelievable on these tours, really. And I liked it how
Really.
Utami's on Dream Street. Seri's ragdolling her. Mirai's destroying her with these forearms, these lariats, and they go to almost get ready to put Utami away, almost like execution style. And Yuzuki comes in and keeps super kicking them to kind of keep the dogs at bay. So our hero, our champion, Utami, the leader of King's Journey, by the way, folks, can kind of get her bearings back and is able to shake out the cobwebs for that excellent finishing sequence between the two. I love that role. Again, she was great, but it was just those super kicks at the end when it looked like that Seri and Mirai were just going to basically almost like destroy Utami. And Victoria comes in as almost as Utami's savior, which again puts Yuzuki in a bigger light. She was the savior of the champion, of the ace of this company towards the end of that match. Fantastic stuff. The one little thing I didn't like is Seri Yamaoka breaking up the pinfall by grabbing the ref's arm. I can suspend disbelief if you pull the referee out when the heel does it and they run away because the ref's like, I don't see anything. But clearly the smoking gun is there. You're touching the official. And I know it kind of got a good reaction because it's like, oh, it's something we don't see. It was like, you shouldn't be touching the official to break up a pinfall. I mean, regardless, I saw what they went for there. It didn't work for me, but regardless, this match is great. Another 4.25 stars, and I liked how it ended because we're building Mirai up in these championship these preview tag matches. And what does Utami do to put Mirai away, Rob? Huge lariat, torture rack bomb, hijack bomb. It was like she finally, like again, once Yuzuki comes in and makes the save and Utami's able to rally herself, big lariat, and I'm not done. Torture rack bomb, which again, she won the 5-star and the Dream Star with against Sakurai and obviously the Jumbo Princess Himika as well, respectively. But instead of going for the pin, rolls her right in and hits the hijack bomb. I love it. And when you have big main event wrestlers that are high impact wrestlers like Utami is, hitting bomb after bomb after bomb because it makes her offense look really good and it makes it look like she had to empty the playbook to put Mirai away. Phenomenal match. I'm so excited for this match coming up at the end of the month. 4.25 stars for me, my friend.
We heard a very split crowd.
Mirai was, if anything, Mirai may have had 55-60% of the crowd. People love Mirai.
So the big question is, and obviously we'll do a massive Yo-Yogi a preview a little bit close to the time. My question to you is not necessarily who wins, but we talk about Rossi's love of a time limit draw. Maybe this is one that makes sense to go to a time limit draw.
Because it might not be the main event.
Do you not think?
Well, what's the whole show been built upon?
We'll talk a little bit about that, but even if it's not the main event, this could go 30 minutes and be an absolute war. It also gives Mirai another chance to go after it a little bit later on once Utami's got, this has sort of waited out this run. Because I do think it's Mirai that takes the belt off Utami, but I don't want Utami's reign to end yet. However, you heard the crowd's reaction. You heard how behind Mirai they are. Now, this match is going to absolutely rule. Like, we know it's going to be fantastic, and I'm genuinely really excited. But I think if you are going to put Nanae and, who we're going to talk about in a moment in that main event, maybe this goes to a 30-minute time limit draw. Again, we'll talk a little bit about it because we'll know a little bit more in a couple of weeks, but it's just something to think about. Moving on to the main event, Mayu Iwatani in Marigold, getting the win in her debut match against Nanae Takahashi. And we talked at the start of the show about how Mayu coming to the company is going to bring in new fans. We saw that with the ticket numbers. We talked about how, Stardom have got the people to step up in Mayu's absence. They're certainly not going to replace Mayu. You can't replace Mayu. There's no replacing the icon. There just isn't. You can't replace her lineage. You can't replace what she's done for the company. There's no way you can do that. There are people that can step up, and we've talked about that ad nauseum. But for me, just as it was with Mina to a lesser extent, where does she want to be? Is she happy where she is? Is she happy that she's going to AEW? To watch Mayu Iwatani come out, genuinely, overcome with emotion, struggling to hold back tears, watching as Victoria Yuzuki holds the ropes open for her, and the moment those two share, watching her in the ring, and it actually makes me realize, you see her throwing that baseball, for example. There's a joy in Mayu that we didn't realize was missing in the last couple of months of her Stardom run. And here she seemed, I don't know, there was almost a weight off her shoulders. And then, of course, she got battered for about 20 minutes of the match against Nanae, what was a fantastic match. But there seems to have been a weight lifted off of Mayu. And that meant more to me in this match than anything that happened. It mattered more to me than her signing for Marigold, re-signing for Stardom, seeing how genuinely happy she was and how overcome with emotion she was. That's all that mattered. You could tell this was where she wanted to be. And genuinely, I'm so happy for her because, if it's true that she, her heart has always been with Marigold since Rossi left, but because of the movie and stuff like that, we've talked about that before. She's been an absolute consummate professional in her time with Stardom. If she hasn't wanted to be there, it's a big if, obviously we don't know, but if she didn't want to be there, you couldn't tell. Matches of the year, on a number of occasions has been, doing whatever has been asked of her and more. But here it became very, very obvious just how happy and free she feels as a part of Marigold. And that for me means more than anything else.
Yeah, it's almost, and we probably made mention this, a few months when we started doing the Marigold standard, that Marigold almost feels like the old Stardom, 2015, 26,
Absolutely,
like
yeah.
maybe, and obviously I know they got bought out in 2019, but like from like 2015 to 2020, like with the foreigners coming in and then kind of building up your main stars. That's the way it really felt. It's a formula that Rossi obviously has used and has been successful. And obviously Stardom, in order for them to grow, they've had to evolve. And boy, howdy have they evolved. I mean, you have to give them all the credit in the world. What they're doing with Bushiroad. It's really cool because you have Stardom now, and almost Marigold is. I know it's called Marigold, but it almost feels like the old Stardom. And I think that's when it hit Mayu. Like, this is what I grew up in, not only as a wrestler, but as a person. Like, this is the feeling that I have, and it almost looked like Mayu was. When she's getting ready to get in the ring, she like closed her eyes and she almost felt like this feels like Korakuen Hall with my matches with Io and Kyrie. And, that those great matches I had, in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and Kiketsu and Momo Watanabe. And that's kind of just the way that it felt. And then you can just see the emotion. She had basically her same music, but it was kind of almost like a rock remix, which it really kind of pumped up the internet. That was really good. Her baseball jersey looked fantastic. We mentioned it again. Once those are available, hopefully overseas shipping, that'll be one that I would definitely like to purchase. She seemed extremely happy. And you're right. It doesn't seem like she was upset, other than maybe the first few weeks when Rossi got fired. Other than that, it seemed like Mayu was okay and putting on great matches. Again, her 2024, which was the first full year that Rossi wasn't there by her side, probably her best in-ring year that she's ever had, which is saying something. Put on great matches, made sure everybody looked good, did business the right way. Put Shuri over about a week ago from this match, and one of the best matches I've seen all year. And then she goes and puts an absolute banger against Nanai. And we made mention before that this is the best we've seen Nanai look in a while. She's looked good in Stardom, don't get me wrong, but she seems reinvigorated. She seems like she has, the lack of a better term, Rob, more passion. This was her best match. Again, 26 minutes. You knew it was going to get time to tell the story, and rightfully so. And not only was it because I said old Stardom, what's one thing we haven't seen in Stardom in quite a bit? The random bumps on the one entranceway there. Mayu takes a clothesline and then rolls all the way down the steps. You're wondering how long it's going to take for Mayu to do a moonsault or a dive off that one entranceway.
I am waiting.
We have not seen it in quite some time, and I understand why. Safety of the fans, but that was like an Io Mayu trademark. Big Korakuen Hall match. Somebody's gonna do something insane off said thing. So it's probably coming. It's probably coming. Great back and forth. I loved how Nanai turns heel early in this match, Mayu goes for the dive early on. I'm like, oh, we're going early here. And then the cameraman gets a last second shot of like, you don't see it until it happens. You don't see the play until it happens of her whipping the chair at Mayu. I'm like, oh, you're taking away one of the best suicide dives in all of wrestling. Whips the chair at Mayu. She gets properly booed, and then eventually they come back to it. Mayu hits it. I'm like, smart, building up the move. Great counter when Mayu goes for the double stomp and then grabs it into the ankle lock. I thought that was terrific. That insane, sick, disgusting headbutt on the top rope.
God.
That definitely took away from Meltzer's rating. We'll get into that. How he did not give Sherry and Mayu 5 stars from last week. We'll get into that on the Stardom cast. Just really great stuff. Again, you're looking at your first kind of big star in Stardom, and then obviously she leaves because of the whole Yoshiko incident. Well, obviously we talked about that at nausea, and then it's Io, Mayu, and Kairi that keeps the company afloat. So you're seeing basically two of the biggest Joshi icons from one generation to the next, and obviously Nanai's on her way. She's retiring at the end of this month, and Mayu still very much the prime of her career. Match of the year candidate against Shuri last week for Stardom at All-Star Grand Queendom. Puts on one of the best matches in Marigold's young history. So literally two match of the year candidates she's had in 7 days' time. It goes to show you why she is still one of the greatest wrestlers in all of wrestling in her prime. And I put this on social media. I'm going to say it right here. I was lucky enough to see Michael Jordan, the greatest athlete in the history of the world, in his prime. The fact that we get to see Mayu still in her prime, and the fact that we've seen it in one company, we're about to see it in another. We are so lucky. And again, this is why tribalism is stupid. I know there are some Stardom fans that won't watch Marigold, and some Marigold fans that won't watch Stardom. And again, that's up to you. It's your choice. Absolutely, I support it. But you're taking away seeing great wrestling happening in Stardom. You're taking away great wrestling seeing in Marigold. Again, folks, watch it all if you can, because we are so lucky that we get to watch this great wrestling. And now that Mayu is in Marigold, we have fresh matchups, we have fresh stuff. And the fact that she's happier now than she was a year ago, when she had arguably her greatest year she's ever had, this is going to be a fantastic year. I know they said on commentary it's going to take a little bit for her to kind of get things settled, and then we see her full-time on the roster. I know she's not on the next set of shows, but
No.
I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to see her on the next set of shows. Phenomenal match. 4 3/4 stars for me, partner. I kind of wish she would have won with either the moonsault or the two-step dragon, because you're kind of waiting for that big 1, 2, big pop 3. Cool enough finish. It made sense. Again, I thought it would have got more of a bigger pop if she hit one of her 2 big moves. But again, made sense in for this scenario. 4 3/4 stars. Fantastic match. Maya did say at the press conference she wasn't coming directly for the red belt just yet, Rob. She wants to work her way up, and work her way she's going to at Passion for Everybody.
She is, absolutely. I gave it 5 stars. You always, you said before that emotion and aura and the general feel of a match can play a part. And for me, that was the added bit of this match. Not only was it a phenomenal match, but everything that it epitomized, everything I said before about the way that Mayu feels, the way that Mayu looks in ring, everything about this was a special match to me. And I feel like if it's a special match, then it deserves the perfect rating. So absolutely phenomenal stuff from both women. And there we are. You're absolutely right, though. It does look like Mayu Iwatani is starting at the Superfly title, where she will be challenging Victoria Yuzuki. At least that's what Victoria Yuzuki wants. She challenged Mayu Iwatani, or at least wants her to challenge for the Superfly title. It looks like that's been agreed, but where it's been agreed, we don't know as of yet. We assume it is going to be Shine Forever, but that is not all, because Miko Aono then came to the ring, completely ignored Mayu, which I really found quite funny, and made straight for Nanae. She wants to be Nanae's final opponent. And do you know what? If you could choose anyone in Marigold and it wasn't Mayu, absolutely. I love this. Love this idea. I think it's a great idea. You've been building Miko Ano up as this killer. Nanae, is going to put on a banger of a match. We've talked about Nanae putting people over in this Passion Countdown. I know that you were not very happy that she didn't put over Victoria Yuzuki, and I must admit, I agree. I think Victoria Yuzuki should have gone over. However, if she puts over Miko Ano, and we talked about Miko Ano being a future ace of this company, a future star of this company, beating Nanae in her last singles match could be the final thing to fall in place for Miko Ano. Obviously, it hasn't happened yet, and it might not happen. But if it does, that would be a very, very, very good bit of business.
Yeah, they had a great match at the Dream Star last year.
Did.
I think it went to the time limit draw. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait for them to run that back. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. Yeah, she should have put Yuzuki over, in my opinion, more than once. Again, less said about that, the better. But I'm all for this. If this is her, we thought that her final match would have been like a multi-person because of just all the history she has with certain people. But if it's going to be a straight up singles match, Miko Ano is right up my alley, my friend, because and all of our longtime listeners that I'm a massive fan of Miko Ano. I just hope Miko Ano does get that win. I hope it gets the win. Like, thinking about it, and right now, if you're asking me, I think that it's 50-50 at this point. To do business properly, Miko Ano should go over, but just the way that kind of things go, I wouldn't be shocked if Nanae does go over. It'd be a great match, don't get me wrong. But, when you're on your way out, you should be doing favors on your way out. We just, unfortunately, as great as these matches are, we have not seen that from Nanae Takahashi. So I'm kind of worried that Miko Ano eats the L on Nanae's final match.
I get that. I do get that. Would it be the most devastating thing in the world if Nanae was to win? No. It would be nice to see her put over Miko Ano. But also, this show is about Nanae. Maybe they will have her win and then sort of have her big ceremony afterwards. Again, I don't know. We will see. This Shine Forever card, though, Matt, we do briefly need to talk about it because we are starting to get a card that is coming together. So far, we've got a Chika Goto and Koki Amare exchange. We don't know what's going on there yet. Mayu versus Yuzuki potentially for the Superfly title. Nanae versus Miku in her final match. You've got Mai Sakurai and Omukai. You've got Mirai versus Utami for the red belt. Those are 5 very, very, very tasty matchups. I'm very much looking forward to this card. Obviously, we will know more as it takes shape. I imagine that we will have a card probably in the next 10 days because as we record, we are 18 days away from Shine Forever. So we are really inching towards this card. I wouldn't be surprised if we, this time next week, have a press conference to announce the full card, Matt.
Yeah, because we're getting dangerously close, but we have planted a lot of seeds. And again, this was really smart on Marigold and Rossi, knowing this was going to be one of their biggest shows that they've had this year. Again, not only from a ticket sales, but a lot of eyes on it because of bringing Mayu in, and it's getting praise, and rightfully so, because this was just not just a great Marigold show. This was a damn good pro wrestling show. If you like pro wrestling, a great pro wrestling show. So they planted a lot of seeds for said match. And my guess would be you're going to get some official announcements coming soon because, unfortunately, even though they planted seeds, Rob, none of these matches we talked about, there's no match graphics. And I've learned a lot from you over the last 3+ years. If there's not a match graphic, it is not official. So none of these matches are official, my friend.
Damn right. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to briefly whip through the next 2 shows that Marigold have announced because we do have a title match on these cards before we throw to a gaze at Julia, of course. On the 10th of May, which is Saturday as we record, Marigold returned to the Osaka 176 box for the following cards. You've got Komomo Minami and Minami Yuki versus Nagisa Takibana and Ryoko Sakimura. The return of Flying Penguin. And there's only one person who can contain Flying Penguin. And that, my friend, is Megaton. Yes, we'll get Flying Penguin versus Megaton in a singles match. 6-woman tag, Natsumi Shozuki, Chika Goto, and Hummingbird against Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Gigaton. Mika Wano versus Misa Matsui.
Sure.
Okay. That's great. We've then got Utami Hayashishita, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kazuna Tanaka against Mirai, Mai Sakurai, and Rea Seto in your semi-main event. And then, of course, your main event is going to be the Twin Star Championships on the line. Nanae Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka defending against Magenta, who, by the way, have just turned heel, having lost in the first round of the number one contendership match at Marvelous's show on the 5th. They lost to Senka Akatsuki and Sorayami in the first round. Yeah, they got rolled up.
We bumped in. I literally almost shoulder tackled me on my way to my hotel room. I guess they were staying. A lot of people were staying at New York. We saw Nagi. We saw Nagi playing slots. Yeah. Real quick, I just want to point out, I don't know if you know this, and if you don't, I'm putting this out to the universe. If anybody can tell me how to watch this marvelous tag league, because these teams look insane. I think Sari and Takumi Roja. This is like, hello, like, can we superpower anymore? It's like when they put Hogan and the Warrior together when I was a kid. I'm like, who's beating those guys? Exactly. If anybody can tell me how to watch said show, and again, if it's on YouTube or something, obviously I will pay for it. I'm totally against pirating. These girls and these companies need every one of my dollars. Please let me know, because I really want to watch this. For someone who loves tag wrestling, and these tag teams in this tournament look insane. Also, I heard Magenta not only turned heel, Rob, they think they had a new like goth look, like from what I understand. So I guess they found vape cigarettes and My Chemical Romance, or the Mighty Slayer.
Absolutely. Been hanging out with Saya Kamatani, haven't they? We've then got Marigold in Gifu on Sunday the 11th. We've also got some participation from Yanagas Pro Wrestling, which is a company in the Gifu region, so some local talent. In a three-way, one of those talent is Kuki, and she's going to be taking on Nagisa Takibana and Ryoko Sakimura in a three-way. We've then got a tag match, Natsumi Shozuki and Hummingbird teaming against the Darkness Revolution team of Misa Matsui and Gigaton. Mai Sakurai and Mika Wano versus Chika Goto and Minami Yuki. Utami Hayashishita, Victoria Yuzuki, and Kazuna Tanaka, they will be taking on the Darkness Revolution team of Nagisa Nozaki, Chiaki, and Megaton. And then in your main event, we have got Nanae Takahashi, Seri Yamaoka, and Rea Seto, and they're going to be taking on Mirai, Komomo Minami, and Mari Marigi from Yanagas Pro Wrestling. So those are your latest two cards for Marigold. Matt Turner, it feels like we have been talking for hours, and we have, but it is time, good sir, for a gaze at Julia.
Gaze at Julia. A lot of stuff going on in the life of the Dangerous Queen. We go to NXT, the main event, a must-see tag match. I think Big Dave gave 4.5 stars. With one, Io Shirai, Io Sky, teaming with Jordan Grace to take on the team of Roxanne Perez and Julia. Just to kind of just whip through it, it was a phenomenal match, folks. Go out of your way to see it. One of the best tag matches I've seen in NXT in quite some time. Just really great stuff that had a phenomenal finishing sequence with Io and Roxanne Perez, with Io getting the win with the moonsault on one Roxanne Perez. Really great. I don't know if you saw the finish, how Io counters the pop rocks. Like, I don't know how it's humanly possible. She basically does a moonsault out of it and then hits a head kick and then into the top rope moonsault. Just insane. I did not get a chance to see Monday Night Raw, but I will have. I know what happened. Thank you to Darren, who sent me the information. But this does involve one Julia. So obviously I will watch Monday Night Raw for our Io and Kyrie watch for the Stardom cast later this week. But it was Io in a singles match with Roxanne Perez. I did see the finishing sequence. It was something taking out of a Azumi versus Starlight Kid match with so many 2 counts. Eventually, Io does get the win. This leads to Julia running in and beating up on one Io Sky. And then Rhea Ripley makes the save. We are set up for next Monday night on Monday Night Raw. Io and Rhea Ripley taking on Julia and Roxanne Perez. So I will have a full report on said match. Like I said, I'll watch that over the next day or two. And that takes us to next week will be Monday Night Raw. for more gazes at Julia, because it was like Julia will be performing on the Netflix performed one Monday Night Raw. A little bit more there, Rob Goodwin, because she's been on that program quite a bit, which is the WWE flagship show. So good on her.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to an end of a mega version of the Marigold Standard. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a phenomenal week for Marigold, and obviously it is only going to get better as we get closer to Shine Forever. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing on the podcast app of your choice. If you could leave us a 5-star review and a comment, that would really help us out as well. You can also check out the website, talkjoshi.com, where you can get all of today's news and all of the stats and histories and all of the archived episodes and all of our bonus content as well. Speaking of bonus content, patreon.com/theStardomCast, where you can get all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month, as well as a whole host of bonus content as well. You can also find us on social media, the Marigold Podcast, unless, of course, it is Blue Sky, Threads, or Instagram, where you can find us at Talk Joshi. You can find me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Mr. Matt Turner, please, good sir, for the love of all that is holy, sign us off.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter is the easiest and best way to get a hold of me. But if you're saying, Matt, I want to shoot you an email, I will give you my email address, folks. The email address simply is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another jam-packed episode of the Marigold Standard. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you, because like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because when we're all together, everybody's different. Everybody's special.